following is a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Out wide right with Ladero onto his favorite left foot. Finds Jack McGlynn centrally, just hit the post moments ago. No whistle as Musa got a tug of the jersey. We play on, ball in behind for Julio. Foot race here. Anderson, Julio, past Tarbell, empty net. Anderson, Julio!
With 7 games left in FC Dallas's Major League Soccer campaign, every point matters as the Burns sit 5 points outside of Western Conference play-in spot. Tonight begins a stretch of 7 straight Saturdays where 3 points are the objective. Standing in the Toros' way this evening is St. Louis City, who are 9 points below Dallas in the playoff standings and all but out of postseason contention. Dallas won the Frisco half of this matchup 3-0 earlier this season and look for a repeat tonight at Energizer Park as St. Louis host FC Dallas. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show presented by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. On tonight's presentation, we will hear from FC Dallas's manager, Eric Quill. Our commentary team for the evening, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, will join me to break down tonight's opening contest. And speaking of the man, he is back from his travels full of tacos and good vibes. It is the great Steve Davis. Steve, it's happy to have you stateside again here.
Tacos are delicious, and so is coming on here to be here with you, Sam.
Well, I think I'd probably rank the tacos above that, but I appreciate that anyway. Well, let's talk turkey here for just a minute as we've got a big stretch of games for Dallas here. 7 left, 4 on the road, 3 at home, a maximum of 21 points left. And there's some debate about how many points Dallas will need if they want to play on into MLS's extra season. I've got it as 16. You seem to be a little bit more optimistic about what it might take for FCD.
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to take about 44 points this year, looking at the teams ahead of them. And, we have to start talking about margins and not paper thin just yet, but close. Cardboard maybe cardboard thin. So I guess the first thing you'd say about, how many points and what they need to do, the 2 teams ahead of them that they really need to catch right now, those 8-9 spots, San Jose, Colorado. On both of those teams, Dallas has 2 games in hand, right? So that's important. Now, what you say about that, though, the opportunity is there, but games in hand only matter if you actually collect the points. So that brings us, back to the question. How do they get in the playoffs? 14 points, I think, is what they need out of the 21 available. So what you have to understand is that that's 2 points a game. That's hard. It's doable, but it's difficult. Right now, the teams in the race for Supporters' Shield up at the top of the West or the Eastern Conference, they're not earning 2 points a game. So it's difficult, but the schedule sort of breaks a little favorably. They've got some games that look like they're winnable, including tonight where they've got to go out and get the points. They got to be sharp. You can't miss the opportunities now because there really is very little margin for error.
Well, if they're going to do it, they are going to have to start tonight. And the group that's going to try and do it tonight, Michael Colodi, Lalas Abubakar, Osaze Uragide, Shaq Moore, Bernie Kamungo, Christian Kappas, Kike Ramiro, Anderson Julio, Petter Musa, and Patrickson. And the headlines there are at the front and the back. Petter Musa back in the lineup after some absences in and out, and Osaze Uragide back in as well. I'm going to ask you a real hard question. Which one of those is more important to FC Dallas as they enter this stretch?
It's hard to say. Getting Osaze back is critical. The things on the lineup that's one of the things on the lineup tonight that I really like. I like getting Musa back in there. It's hard to win games, without your game changers, and those guys definitely are. Looks like it's going to be the 5-3-2 again. So I like those 2 things. I like the Kappas KK midfield tandem. I think it gives some decent mobility and decent speed. I like that. I sort of trust now Ramiro as a wingback defensively, which sort of brings us to the things maybe I don't like, or harder to like about it, which is that Ramiro's not going to give you a lot going forward. Shaq defending out on the wing, defending one-on-one, that's good, Shaq. He's a little bit more challenged to defend the box. So as a center back, he's told you guys yesterday at practice that he's never played that position before now, but he's a good team guy. He's being asked to play it, so he's doing it. Bernie, I think, is capable he's shown to be capable defensively as a wing back. We'll see if teams start testing him there. And then that Julio and Patrickson Musa combination up front, it gives him a good diverse set of complementary skill sets. So on the other hand, match week 32 is a tough time to be trying to develop chemistry between those 3 guys, and that's what they're having to do right now.
And there's a specific matchup for that back 3 we'll talk about in our third segment that they come up against tonight in St. Louis, where they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's. But as we look as well up top, there's a little bit of a change. We've seen both Patrickson and Anderson Julio play in those top 3 spots, but we haven't seen them together playing with Petter Musa. And, we've had a couple post-game shows recently where we've debated what is Anderson Julio's best position, how can he be best utilized. This is a unique grouping of that trio of attackers for Eric Quill. What do you think the best case scenario is for those guys?
So I think Anderson Julio running off Petter Musa as a second striker has some potential. We've seen Logan Farrington in that role, and he and Musa, had their moments. But Anderson is a little different characteristic as a player. He's got that speed. So if Musa, if they can find the runs off of Petter Musa, Anderson Julio getting in behind. St. Louis does like to play a relatively high line, so I think there's some potential there. And there's also potential for another reason about St. Louis that we're going to get to in a minute.
And it's worth noting as well, Petter Musa 6 assists this year, so if he can maybe flick one of St. Louis, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. Well, we've talked a lot about what Dallas is going to have to do, but they've made a lot of hay on the road this year. 4 wins, 3 losses, 6 draws. That's 18 road points for the Burn. And obviously, normally we talk about can a team win enough at home to get into the playoffs, but for Dallas, that's inverted. Can they pull off enough with 4 road wins to try to maybe invert the pyramid almost on this one?
Yeah, road form is going to have to carry them. The home form has just let them down a little bit this year. The upside is that they've did well on the road generally. Now, they've slowed that down a little bit as they've gone to a little bit more defensive look, 5 in the back. They're still holding serve, but not doing much more than that. Since winning in Kansas City back in June, 2 draws and a loss on the road. And ordinarily, generally speaking, you'd say, draws on the road are fine, but we're past generally speaking now. The framing now is, man, they've got to pick up points, especially on the road, especially against a team like St. Louis that's beneath them in the standings.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the floor has been risen, but the ceiling has fallen a little bit on this team. I'm sure we'll talk about that as we get into the specific matchup. But, oh, boy, here's St. Louis City. And, 2 years ago, Steve, we were talking about this club. They were high-flying. They had a direct style that was lighting up the league. Fast forward 2 years later, they're second bottom in the West. They fired their coach. They fired their sporting director. It seems like that's a team in full-on, not sure where they are in the wilderness mode, which is probably a good thing for FC Dallas right about now.
Boy, it is tonight for sure. The team, since that initial surge, and really that was only through about the first 3 quarters of that first season, they've been poor to underwhelming. They raise sometimes to the level of underwhelming. And, you've mentioned upheaval. You talked about the general manager and the coach. If you think about it, sort of starting last year when a kid from Dallas, Bobby Murphy, had the second team in the MLS Next Pro Western Conference Championship, and he had, out of 29 teams in MLS Next Pro, they finished second. They had already let him go. They had already fired him. They had told him he was going to be moving on. So that's organizational upheaval right there. So it's a pretty big mess. Now, that said, there's talent. Klaus can still find the goal. Edward Leuven, I think, is a midfield general. Roman Berkey is not what he was in 23, but he's still a very good goalkeeper. So there's still some talent there. Yeah,
there's definitely a couple threats there that we'll talk about in our third segment as well. And for those who remember when we called that particular game, Brendan McSorley, the striker from that, was signed this week to a first-team deal. He is on the bench tonight for St. Louis City as he makes the jump from MLS Next Pro to MLS. But that is Steve Davis, who never fails to make the jump from anywhere he wants to go. We'll have him. I know it wasn't good. I've had a week off. We're working on it. We're rusty. But we're getting there.
You're usually better. You set a good standard.
I set a high standard, and I don't always clear it. But we will bring him back in our third segment. But when we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we will have the sound of this week's matchup. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's children's health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long, when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. And a big thanks to everyone watching the Burncast on YouTube today. You'll see Ryan and Steve all throughout the broadcast celebrating the highlights and, well, maybe the not-so-highlights at times. But you can always tune in there, leave some comments on our YouTube chat, and we'll read the best ones throughout the broadcast as we hit the halftime show and pregame. We want your voice on the Burncast if you can. So go over there to YouTube. It's the official FC Dallas page, and you can watch the Burncast, leave us a comment. It's a total social program we got going on over there that we're starting through the end of this season. And, of course, speaking of great interaction, let's talk about the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed, which is available everywhere you get podcasts. Of course, the post-game show is there. Everything you need to know about the game that was in 30-ish minutes, give or take. You get highlights, stats, analysis, even interviews with the big newsmakers when we get the chance of what's going on during a game, win, lose, or draw. You'll have that post-game show there shortly after it finishes live. And, of course, the FC Dallas Agenda, our flagship program this year, coming up on its 30th episode this coming week. Of course, we have interviews with all the big newsmakers, all the big people, the important to-dos, long-form analysis, fun times to be had. I've heard we've got a couple of special things planned for the 30th episode in conjunction with FC Dallas at 30. So you want to watch out for that, which should come out sometime around Wednesday. We'll see exactly when it does. But speaking of, we'll give you a little bit of a preview of that episode this week as we hear from Eric Quill, who appeared on this week's episode of The Agenda.
I think in a post-game press conference a few weeks ago, you kind of said that this first year, there were a ton of learning curves as a first-year head coach in MLS. I'm just curious, what are some of those lessons that, you didn't expect coming in that you had to learn on the job as you go?
I mean, just, again, the character and the personalities of each player you have. And we've got some stars on this team and guys that played for other coaches, so and under a different philosophy. And so to break some behaviors and to, bring young players along like the Josh Torquatos of the world, so they're trying to mesh this group together under the new philosophy takes time, and learning curves are trying to get results while time's not on your side to make things look the right way and execute performance plus scoreline. So that some guys get lucky and it happens right off the bat, but I think if you look at majority of the time, first year coaches, you got to time and they get to figure things out, and you take the small gains where you can take them, and you're hoping to make big strides along the way that people can start to see and be proud of what they're seeing on the field. And I think that, like I said, right as of late, last 6-7 games, we're really playing well, and we're playing with everybody in the league, and results. Yeah, we want wins consistently, but we're in every game, and I think we're becoming more and more aggressive.
If you want to hear more of that interview with Garrett Meltzer with Eric Quill, you can go to the newest episode of the FC Dallas Agenda. And when you do go to that episode, you'll also hear Ryan talking with FC Dallas Academy head Chris Hayden. He talks about the golden generation of FC Dallas that came through, what they're looking for in academy players' development. It's a really interesting discussion about how Hayden views the development process and how FC Dallas has really kind of cornered the market in American academies. But you'll do that by going to your podcast provider of choice, typing in FC Dallas Radio Network, and hit subscribe. Once you do, you'll get all of our content right as it comes to you. And by the way, it's totally free. Where else are you going to get such a good deal for free but from FC Dallas and the FC Dallas Radio Network? But when we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me to break down tonight's lineups and tactics. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wild at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Leggett, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show, presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network, and of course on YouTube on the Burncast. We've got about 25 minutes till kickoff from Energizer Park, so let's go ahead and bring you the starting lineups for tonight's matchup. And those starting lineups are brought to you this evening by Advocare. We'll start first with the home side, St. Louis City, and their interim head coach, David Critchley. It's Roman Berkey in net for St. Louis City. Conrad Valum, Henry Kessler, Falu Fall, and Devin Padelford on the back line. Edward Leuven, Chris Durkin, Celio Pompeo in the midfield. Simon Betcher, Marcel Hartle, and João Klaus up top for St. Louis City. And now let's hear the starting lineup for FC Dallas and first-year head coach Eric Quill.
Michael Colodi, goalkeeper, Frisco, Texas.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Osaze Origide, centre back, Netherlands, Nijmegen.
Lalas Abubakar, central defender, University of Dayton.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Christian Capas, midfielder, Houston, Texas.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Bernard Camungo, I'm a winger, and I'm from Abilene, Texas.
Patrickson, mediocampista, Ecuador.
Anderson Julio, soy delantero y soy de Quito, Ecuador.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
And the subs tonight for Dallas, Sebastian Leggett, Pedrinho, Alvaro, Logan Farrington, Josh Torquato, Sebastian Biaga, Sam Sarver, Luke Jackson, and Enes Sali. As we bring in the voices of tonight's contest, it's Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, we talked a little bit in our first segment about what it's going to take for Dallas to get to the playoffs and kind of the point math that you're going to have to do. But math is kind of boring to me. We were having a conversation about just the two games in front of you, this game tonight against St. Louis and next week at home against Austin. And it does kind of feel like regardless of anything else, if you don't get 6 points out of these two matchups, things go from really thin to almost non-existent.
Yeah, to take Steve Davis's term, to go from cardboard to razor thin. I think if you don't pick up 6 points out of 6, at minimum 4 points out of these next 6 is going to be a requirement. I think the strength of schedule, you guys talked about, the strength of schedule is very favorable for Dallas down the stretch, leading up to ultimately the toughest game, which is going to be decision day at Vancouver. But maybe Vancouver's already wrapped up their position by then, and they rest some guys ahead of the playoffs. There's an opportunity here for Dallas to take advantage of, they've played the hard games. Now they need to do what they've done all season, which is beat the teams that are outside of the playoff positions. Statistically, they're 5-1-1 against teams that are currently outside of the top 9. They've still got 3 games to go, including tonight, twice against the Galaxy, and then tonight at St. Louis. If they can get those 9 points, that's a huge boost in their push for the playoff line.
And one of the big things is going to get him across the line, Steve. We talked about Petar Musa returning to the lineup. 13 goals on the year, 6 assists, having himself just a whopper of a season when he's out there. And we've talked about when he is out there, he is pretty much the offense. The goal is to get it to Musa. Traditionally, good things can tend to happen. But is that going to be enough, do we think, for FC Dallas, who pretty much when Musa's not out there, the offense has been a little limp, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I like it when he's out there because he gives them that real good point of reference. I think the attack gets going a little bit faster than before when we saw Lucho Acosta, who would kind of slow things down a little bit. I like the I sort of like the Musa-Farrington combination. But for a different reason, I like the Anderson-Julio combination with Petar Musa because I do think that you mentioned a while ago the flick-ons. I think that might be on for FC Dallas. But honestly, Musa's a good passer with his feet. You know, if he can turn and find the pockets to play Anderson-Julio into, and Julio is pretty good about finding those pockets and drawing a defender out just a little bit and then running into the central pocket. So I see some good things maybe able to happen there, especially against the St. Louis defense that just ain't very good.
Yeah, and looking at the forward tandem, two players in a very different way right now. Petar Musa, obviously in incredible form. If you kind of ignore that 8-minute cameo off the bench against LAFC last time out, in his last 10 starts, 9 goals and 3 assists. I mean, that is elite levels. On the other side, Anderson-Julio has missed a ton of time in and out of the squad with injuries, with the formation changes. After such a good start to life in Dallas colors, he hasn't scored since May against RSL. It's been a long time since we've seen the Ecuadorian hit the back of the net. And we were talking at training this week, you know, Anderson-Julio is sort of famous for scoring 1 or 2 goal-of-the-year contenders every year. We haven't seen that banger yet. Maybe it's tonight for Anderson-Julio.
Yeah, and, you know, Eric Quill told you guys that having that week off really helped Anderson-Julio. He thinks he's in a good spot now.
And I'm curious about, you know, we talk about that impromptu week off due to the Leagues Cup, Ryan. You know, obviously Musa is out there, Farrington is not. He is on the bench. I wonder if that says more about, hey, in the instance of Musa, because he hasn't played a lot recently, he may be close to fit, but if we have to bring Musa off, if we play Farrington 70-plus minutes, maybe he's not as effective. This might not be a strategy move, but just a roster move.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risk, right? Because Logan is in great form, so take him out of the squad is definitely, you know, if it doesn't go well, it's going to be on the coach, right? Because he took a player out of the lineup that's doing well. But I do have some numbers potentially to support the decision. Not as much this season, but over his career, over the 2 seasons in total, his goal contributions per 90 as a substitute is almost at 1. It's 0.89 goal contributions per 90 minutes when he's come off the bench. As a starter, just about every other game, 0.55 goal contributions per 90 minutes and almost double the amount of time. So he has been effective off the bench. Just 1 goal contribution this season, though, when he's come on as a reserve, and that was an assist against San Jose. So can he find that, you know, that bite that he brought when he came off the bench in 2024 as a rookie? He's I think improved in his minutes as a starter this season compared to last season. But if he can refine that substitute form that he had last year, that'd be huge for him, even if he comes on for Musa or alongside Musa late in the game.
And it would just be helpful, you know, if maybe another guy challenges him, because like we'd love to see an Anderson-Julio or Patterson goal to knock him out of the line. I'm sure Eric Quill, who loves that challenge and loves that training intensity, would like to see that as well. Well, on the other side of the field, Steve, it's Osaze Uriguide back in there tonight. He's alongside Lalas Boubacar and Shaq Moore in that defensive back 3 or back 5 that we've come to know. And in general, that's important because we've seen how good this defense is when Osaze's in, regardless of what setup they're in. But when he's not in there, the boat gets a little bit leaky, unfortunately.
Well, let's don't talk about leaky boats. Let's talk about how much better they are when he's in there, because he is in there tonight. And, you know, it's interesting because to the right of him, they've got Shaq Moore. And Eric Quill told us he wants him to be a little bit more Steven Barrera. They really find Columbus right-sided center back into 3 who gets forward a lot. You know, you see Steven Barrera getting forward, and you're like, wait a minute, is that guy a midfielder? No, he's a center back. You know, he's just so far up the field. And Eric Quill wants to see a little bit more of that. He needs it because Dallas just hasn't had enough volume in attack. So that's why Shaq Moore is in there on that side. On the other side, Lalas Boubacar is very aggressive. He likes to get forward, get it behind somebody, get into the tackle early, even if it's far up the field. That can be a little dangerous. Less dangerous if you have Osaze Uriguide and his ability and his recovery speed behind you. That allows Lalas Boubacar the option of being a little bit more aggressive. So I like, you know, the 3 back there. Sebastian Dibiaga had to take a seat on the bench for this particular lineup, but I sort of like it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at it on paper, it makes more sense as a 4 at the back lineup with Ramiro in the middle of the field, Shaq Moore as a traditional right back. That's his position, right? We talked to him this week, and he said he'd never played as a right center back in a back 3 before these last couple of weeks. He did it to a good level against LAFC. Eric Quill sees that and likes that. He's going to continue with it tonight. But there's still, like you said, going to be opportunities for him to get forward. You know, in watching training, we know that Dallas is going to want to play on the front foot, bring some energy, bring the pressure to St. Louis, even though they're on the road tonight. And in those moments when they do press high, Shaq Moore getting involved in the attack, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pushing forward to provide the width and Ramiro tucking in into those areas where he's a little more comfortable in midfield.
And, tactical flexibility is something that Quill has said pretty much since the beginning of the season he values. So I'm sure if the occasion rises, we could see it more where Ramiro does go in there. We see Bernard Kamungo drop in, and it becomes a back four. We were at training yesterday, Ryan, and we saw not just Osazi out there, but Lalos Abubakar seems to have found his way into this lineup, not just by being an effective player in general, but a very important communicator. During set-piece training yesterday, he was very vocal, getting guys lined up, telling them where to go. And we know how much Quill values that communication. And with all due respect to Sebastian Ibiaga, who's had a pretty strong season, it seems Abubakar has worked his way into that center back 2 spot because he's able, for that organization, those intangible qualities.
Yeah, and set-piece threat, right?
Yep.
I mean, both of them have 1 goal on the season, but Lalos Abubakar, when he's in there, he's the target every single time. And so the volume is there for him when it comes to set pieces, and the service is there with Patrickson in the lineup tonight. That's a big avenue for Dallas. Getting that corner kick goal against Portland just 3 games ago now, which feels like it was an eternity ago. But getting that goal, getting it off the schneid from corner kicks, that's a huge opportunity. Obviously, anytime you're on the road, set-piece goals are going to be important. I think Abubakar's in there for that. And then what we saw from him against LAFC was just a tremendous work rate, a tremendous ability to sniff out danger, make crucial blocks. He was the man of the match, I think, for us in the booth against LAFC, so I'm not surprised to see him keep the place, even with a couple weeks off.
And, obviously, as we look a little bit at St. Louis here, those two are going to be charged with dealing with João Klaus, who is a very crafty, very large human being in the box. And if you had to pick 2 guys on Dallas, that if you needed them to patrol that 6-yard, 18-yard area against the Brazilian, Steve, it feels like Abubakar and Osazi are the 2 you really want.
Yeah, I would trust Ibiaga in there as well. But you're right. He's a big physical guy, but we've seen Osazi Urguide handle all the physical matchups, so that's not a problem. Abubakar does it with a lot of he's not as big as Urguide, but he does it with a lot of fight and effort and intensity and smart. So I like either one of those. That said, Klaus is a good finisher, and you can't switch off for a second. This team has had a little bit of an issue with that, switching off just momentarily in the wrong moments. Can't do it tonight.
Yeah, that triangle of Abubakar, Urguide, and Colodi are going to have to be on their P's and Q's tonight against a guy like Klaus. Moving up the field a little bit and looking at Christian Kappas, Ryan, he's had a kind of a building stretch of games when he came in. Obviously played wingback in his debut, but he's been in the midfield a few games now, and he's really shown a lot of the quality that Eric Quill wanted to when he came in. He gets another run tonight, and I don't think there's much reason to expect anything but a good performance from the young Texan.
Yeah, no, it's a good partnership, I think, between him and Kaique. But they're very complementary. They have skill sets that are different in certain ways, but they've clearly developed an understanding. Kaique is sort of the motor guy all over the field, high energy, high intensity. And Kappas is very tactically disciplined, very sound in possession. He can give Dallas some calm on the ball throughout the game tonight. And talking to Kappas, he feels that. He feels that he's building into this team, getting to know everybody. He's been, he told me he feels like he's been welcomed into the group very well, and now he's got a crucial role in the middle of the field to help Dallas. Eric Quill talked about how he's a big possession guy, and he hopes that having Kappas in there can bring their possession set up 5-10% as he gets up into form. So we'll see if that can start tonight against the St. Louis team that, they're kind of all over the place, game to game, whether they want the ball or not. There hasn't been a ton of consistency with them in that, and so if Kappas can sort of boss that midfield in there alongside Kaique, that'll help Dallas get a platform to go forward.
And especially, Steve, because Edward Leuven's going to be on the other side. He came off the bench in their first meeting here in Frisco, but tonight he gets the start, and that's going to be a matchup to watch. Leuven as a creator against Kappas and Kaique, who are both going to be charged with making sure he can't affect this match.
Boy, when Leuven came into that match back at Toyota Stadium a few weeks ago, he absolutely changed the match. I remember thinking, and we talked about it on the broadcast, Dallas was in charge of the midfield. Then Leuven came in. So he can really run the game that way. And he'll look for Hartl over there, 5 goals, 5 assists for Hartl. Sami Betcher, a little bit more of a battering ram. So he'll get over there. He'll look for him on the left. But I tell you what, he's good at playing the through ball. So is Henry Kessler out of the back. Really good at playing through balls right down the middle. They'll try to ram him down the middle sometimes. Eric Quill talked about how sometimes you can catch him that way and they get him on the counter because they do try to go through the middle like that.
And, Steve mentioned Betcher, Ryan. That means Bernard Kamungo is going to have himself a bit of a challenge. When we talk about guys that have risen to their challenge as of late, Eric Quill was very complimentary of his now left wing back. I'm not sure I'm willing to go as far as he did. I'll let you tell the story there. But I think we have seen Bernard Kamungo really step up, really answer the bell, and turn himself into, I think, at minimum, an MLS quality starter at the position.
Yeah, and he talked to me about how the experience last year when it didn't go as well has really helped him bed into this position now and learn the defensive discipline that's required to play as a wingback. You know, we saw Nico Esteves try it, we saw Peter Luxan try it, and to varying degrees of effectiveness. But this year, without a doubt, it's been much improved for Bernie Kamungo. He's had, I think 3 straight starts at this position, looked good in all 3 of them. That's coincided with a good undefeated run of form for Dallas. If he can keep things tight on the left side, and also I think tonight really get more into the attacking third, because he told me it's about sniffing it out. Does he have the smell for the moment? Hopefully tonight against the St. Louis team that's lower down the table, there's more opportunities in possession to release Bernie Kamungo up the field and do what he does best, which is get in and around the box and provide final product.
And Steve, I think this is maybe a larger topic for the agenda in the future, but it's kind of a credit to what Quill has come in and been able to do through 2/3 of a season, that he's taken a guy in Kamungo who we weren't sure what his future looked like. He got a contract extension, but now he's learning practically a whole new position. And through his coaching and instruction, he's looked pretty darn good doing it.
That's a good point, Sam. Would it be a stretch to say he's maybe saved his career, because Eric Cole was honest about how the numbers just weren't there over the last couple of years for Bernie Kamungo on the attack. We all thought, well, that's what he is. He's an attacker. But lo and behold, here we are. We're talking about him as being a pretty doggone good wingback.
And before we get to the keys to tonight's match, Ryan, obviously the top end for Dallas tonight, Petar Musa back, but you've got Anderson Julio, you've got Patrickson, and it's a little bit of a patchwork defense tonight for St. Louis. They've got players that they like, but you've got a big signing in the middle. Obviously, you've got him next to Henry Kessler, but you've got a left back playing right back. You've got a bit of a midfielder playing left back. This feels like if there's going to be an opportunity for this attacking trio to really pop off, this could be the moment where they figure it out with a little bit of a little Scotch tape back line for St. Louis.
Yeah, Dallas played at home against St. Louis back, just over a month ago. None of these 4 started. None of them. I mean, tonight it's Padelford, Falu Fall, who's a new signing, Henry Kessler, who was injured at that time, and Conrad Vollum, who played in midfield, now playing at right back. And so, not a lot of continuity for David Critchley. He's been trying things. Nothing's really worked for them defensively. I mean, just a record that's really damning for St. Louis. When they've scored 2 or more goals this season, right, you think that's going to be enough to at least get a point most of the time. They've only got 4 wins, 6 losses, and 3 draws, so below 500 when scoring 2 or more. And that includes 3 straight games coming into tonight losing by the score of exactly 3-2. We expect there's going to be goals tonight because St. Louis does have attacking talent as well. But, yeah, I think the Dallas front line is really going to be licking their lips, looking at what they have opposite them tonight.
Yeah, 5 straight wins, 5 out of the 6 wins for St. Louis have come at Energizer Park. So it's kind of almost the exact opposite of what Dallas has dealt with this year. But it does kind of feel like David Critchley is going through a little bit of what Peter Luxan did at the end of last year, where he's just pulling what he's got, and he's trying to make it work. But that's not an enviable position for him to be in. But an enviable position to be in for anybody is to be Steve Davis and bringing you the keys to the match. They are brought to you by Toyota.
Thank you, Sam. Number 1, fight hard but fight smart. You absolutely have to bring the emotional energy tonight, the fight and the focus, but they have to be smart about it. You can't be rash. Can't let the emotions take you to bad places. It's a tricky balance, but that's where you are as a team, fighting for your playoff life right now. Number 2 is take your chances. Look, I mean your offensive chances. And I know that sounds obvious. You can say that about any match, but I tell you, when I watch St. Louis, they don't defend well anywhere. They don't defend well from the front. They aren't organized in the back. They make mistakes with the ball. Falu Fall last week giving up a game-winning goal. Their rest defense isn't good. Their set-piece defense isn't good. So the point is, St. Louis will give you chances. If Moose and friends can be opportunistic, really good chance Dallas gets all 3 points. And number 3 is an aggressive Kappas. He's had time to settle in now. This will be his 3rd start. He's had some good spells, but he's also had some where he's been pretty safe with the ball, and they can't have that. He's got to connect front to back. He's got to play forward. He's got to be aggressive in getting his team into the attacking third. And those are your keys, presented by Toyota.
Musa and Friends sounds like a wonderful T-shirt. I'm going to need the FC Dallas fan shop to start working on. Just him, maybe a picture of him as a moose with all the other attacking players.
How about Moose and Friends?
Moose, yeah, see Moose and Friends. You see, I don't know if Tim from FC Dallas Merchandising is listening. Yeah, just 10% off the top, just for the idea, and a free T-shirt would be great. Speaking of Moose, obviously 6 points is the key for Dallas over the next 2 matches, but another 6 that's important for Moose. 6 more goals would give him the all-time single-season record for FC Dallas at 19. Now, if he has to settle for 5 to the last 7, he'd be tied for the season-high record with Jason Christ, Kenny Cooper, and Jesus Ferreira. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's pregame show. When we come back, Ryan and Steve will get you ready for kickoff. It's at Energizer Park tonight. St. Louis City, FC Dallas, the final 7-game stretch is here. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wild at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, after an impromptu 2-week intermission, we welcome you back to FC Dallas Soccer tonight at Energizer Park in St. Louis. It's a big venue for a big moment in the Dallas season as they find themselves on the outside looking in, looking to make their games in hand count. They're back in the Dallas Burn Legacy kit tonight, representing the MLS Originals in one of the United States' original soccer cities. It's the Dallas Burn and St. Louis City SC here tonight on the FC Dallas Radio Network. Ryan Figert here alongside Steve Davis. And Steve, 7 games to go. Dallas has to make up at least the 5-point gap to 9th place. It starts tonight, and it starts with high intensity, according to Eric Quill.
High intensity indeed, but high chances today. I think to get 3 points, an absolute must to get at least one, but really they need all 3 tonight, and the opportunity is there against a team that's below them in the standings.
Energizer Park, obviously, well, renamed this year, formerly a Camp City Park, I think, something generic like that. One of the best venues in Major League Soccer, and their fan base, even through the tough times of the last 2 seasons, tends to bring the energy. It's a big stage tonight for this matchup. Peter Musa, obviously the man for the occasion most of the time this season. 9 goals and 3 assists in his last 10 starts. Steve, we saw what it looked like when he wasn't out there, out with injury against LAFC from the start last week. Everything that Dallas does in the attack runs through the Moose.
Yeah, without him out there, a little bit of a boat adrift, isn't it? No real central point of reference there. People not quite sure what their roles are. When Peter Musa is in there, he is that reference point, so it's easier to figure out people what they want to do around him and what they can do around him.
He's one of the 2 MLS All-Stars in the Dallas squad. The other one, Martin Paz, still missing with injury, but Michael Colodi has stepped up in his absence. Now 5 starts in Major League Soccer, and he's keeping teams to around, even under a goal a game. 0.8 goals per 90 against for Michael Colodi. That's that's half of what Martin Paz has conceded this season. Obviously, he plays in a little bit of a different way, right? Distributing the ball with some long passing, coming out to claim crosses. But he's stepped up the homegrown keeper in a big way for Dallas with Martin Paz on the sidelines.
He's been absolutely everything you could want in a backup to Martin Paz. And when you say he's been a little bit different, he's been different in a very aggressive way, and that's been good to see. Sometimes maybe Eric Quill would like him to be just a little bit less brave, but really hard to criticize a young man who's really that confident, that brave, that aggressive. I think he's done a great job.
We're getting a look right now at the referee tonight. Alan Chapman, very experienced MLS referee. This is game number 272 for him, and that has included 2 MLS Cups. Dallas 6 wins, 10 draws, and 8 losses with Chapman in the middle. He's assisted tonight by Kevin Klinger, Walt Heatherly, and the VAR is Kevin Stott. Dallas will wear the all-black tonight with red and wasabi green accents. The Dallas Burn Legacy kit back in action and looking sharp at Energizer Park tonight. St. Louis in their city red that's really more pink for the viewers. Looks like they'll move from right to left here in the first half. Michael Colodi in the all-orange. Roman Berkey across from him wearing the armband for St. Louis, decked out in neon yellow. Just about set to get things underway as the final 7-game stretch of the season starts now. Petr Musa drops things back off, and we are underway from Energizer Park.
Nice 70 degrees there. It's nice back in Dallas today, too, but nice in St. Louis, 70 degrees. Good soccer weather.
Dallas launching it long towards Musa. They're going to put pressure high up the field here against St. Louis. That's sent long by Kessler. Header one at the other end by Lawless Abubakar. Fight for the second ball. Patrickson looking to control it. Durkin able to get a touch for St. Louis. Now a bit of a head volley back and forth. And it breaks back again for Abubakar. Going direct, looking for Kamungo. Here's a loose pass from St. Louis in midfield. Kappas ahead. Julio drops it off. Patrickson stabs it wide for Ramiro. The captain whips it in towards the back post, looking for Musa, who's got two defenders draped all over him. And looks like the whistle went against Petr Musa. It would have been a corner. Instead, it's going to be a foul just outside the 6-yard box.
Now the first 60 seconds, just absolute chaos. Just an exchange of turnovers until Ramiro put a foot on the ball and got a nice cross into the back post with Petr Musa lurking back there. But you're right, he had 2 men on him. He got called on the foul when he tried to fight through them.
Ramiro playing as the wingback, second straight week for him, out wide on the right. There's St. Louis right through the middle of the field. Now foot race to the ball. Betcher with Shaq Moore. Hartle waits in the middle. Moore able to turn Betcher towards the corner flag. Uragide now matched up with Pompeu. Pompeu drops it off. Vollum back to Pompeu. Suffered a leg break against FC Dallas here at Toyota Stadium, where we're calling the game tonight. A season ago. Back involved tonight. Needs one a corner.
Really important tonight that Kaike and Kappas, those two central midfielders, really early in possession, close off those passing lanes, because that's what St. Louis likes to do. I mentioned a while ago, Henry Kessler or Leuven really good at playing those balls right through the middle into the channel. So they got a corner kick out of that one.
It's going to be Leuven to take. Outswinger from the far side. Runs key towards the near post. Dallas makes the first contact with Abubakar. Chipped back in by Padelford, and Colodi will comfortably claim that one on the line. Padelford, one of 2 players acquired from Minnesota United in the summer transfer window. The other one, Song Bin, is with South Korea today as they defeated the U.S. men's national team in New Jersey. Dallas with some international absentees of their own. No Dietzen, Diego Garcia, or Nolan Norris. Bernie Kamungo up the left side, gave it away, immediately trying to bite back in to win it, and commits the foul.
We talked about how St. Louis likes to find Klaus through the middle. It looks like they're going to sort of double up on that. I think they're playing in they're usually a 4-3-3 team under David Critchley. It looks like they're playing as a 4-4-2 with Betcher joining Klaus up front.
Under Critchley, things haven't really turned around. 3-9-1 record for him as the interim manager. Before that, under Olaf Melberg, it was 2-8-3. I guess it's an improvement, albeit a small one, for the Liverpool native. Dallas have a free kick, taken quickly by Uragide, who's, interestingly enough, on the left side of the back 3 tonight. After starting his last start in the middle, he's now played, I think, in all 3 of the spots across the back 3.
Leuven trying to buy a foul a minute ago, and Chapman, a good experienced referee, as you said, having none of it.
There's a chip ball in behind along the left side. Shaq Moore with Padelford for company, and the whistle goes as the foul in the back of Shaq Moore.
A minute ago, Leuven getting upset that he didn't get the foul, and Alan Chapman making the very clear dive call. Dive hand motion, that is. I like it when a referee does that, Ryan, because I think he sets an early tone saying, hey, you know, I'm not gonna give you the cheap fouls tonight.
You know me, my preference is always to have a little bit of a higher bar for contact. Whistle is a foul. Colodi launches the free kick long. No one there to win the first ball for Dallas, but Kaike quickly grabs the second ball. Patrickson now out to Bernie Kamungo on the left. Ball him backpedaling. Here's Patrickson inside the D. Breaks back for Bernie Kamungo. Right-footed shot blocked again by Kessler. Kaike back to Shackmore on the right. Bubakar into Kappas in the middle. Gets turned out to Kamungo with a lot of space here. He's going to whip the ball in towards the back post over everybody's head. Breaks for Ramiro. Other side of the 18. Set back for Kaike. Top of the box. Gets it back to Ramiro. And now back for Shackmore. Kaike scoring his only MLS goal of the season against St. Louis at home earlier this season. Now St. Louis pressuring Michael Collodi with the ball. 3 St. Louis players interested here as Collodi is going to launch this one long along the ground, and an effort to catch the goalkeeper out off his line was way off target there from Chris Durkin. Dallas nearly getting into a little bit of trouble here along the right side as St. Louis committed numbers forward.
Yeah, but causing a little trouble on the other end. A minute ago when Kaike won a nice tackle in midfield. Tell you something about Bernie Kamungo. His first 3 touches, I love it. He's been very aggressive. His first time he got the ball, he dribbled right at a defender. Ball bounced back to him. Immediately puts a shot on toward goal. Next time he gets the ball sort of finds its way out there to the left. What does he do? Very early in the possession, hits the left-footed cross, goes all the way through in Ramiro. But really good aggressive start there from Bernie Kamungo.
Dallas on the left side again with Musa into Kaike. I think it was intended for him, and he took a touch that now turns it over to St. Louis. Betcher to Leuven, out wide for Padelford. Padelford out into some space. Ramiro trying to track back, chipped ball in, defended by Abubakar at the near post. And Ramiro keeps it from being a corner, but it's back for Leuven. And now Ramiro can send it clear. That one will skew out of play right around Eric Quill, who's all black tonight with the red cap on the touchline.
A minute ago, Ramiro got caught in a foot race with Padelford. That's not a good spot for Ramiro. He's so good at playing the angles. You look at the numbers, interceptions, blocks, clearances. He's really good compared to other midfielders, but out there on the wing, he can't get into those foot races because he just doesn't have the foot speed.
Well, we saw him stand up against Denny Bouanga last week. You're not going to get a harder matchup, I think, across the league in terms of foot speed, at least. Here's a nice ball from Ramiro into midfield. Patrickson quickly in behind for Bernie Kamungo. Along the left side, Bernie into the box, looking for the low cross. And he's won a corner, but Dallas could have had more there as Kamungo has been involved early in the attack.
Good run. Really good angle run from Kamungo, but even better pass from Patrickson, who on the turn just sees the angle, sees the pass. Bernie Kamungo maybe hints of offside there. What St. Louis is claiming too, but he just didn't get his first touch out of his feet well enough. Couldn't get a good shot on target, but got a corner kick.
Looking for him early and often. Here's Patrickson now to take the corner. An in-swinger from the far side. Whipped in, a lot of air underneath this one. Too much air underneath this one. He got it wrong. We saw Abubakar make the run towards the back post, but Patrickson usually really good with the set-piece service. Not a good one to start off tonight. Berkey looking to go quickly the other way, and Shackmore is there to win the header. And now Bernie Kamungo just looks like a different player out there right now. Nice confidence on the dribble. Brings it forward and now finds Kappas. Switched across to Ramiro.
I'd say Dallas as a team looks confident. Good start for Eric Quill and his company.
Kappas on the diagonal. Great ball. Brought down by Anderson Julio off the left side. Julio holds off the defender, trying to combine with Patrickson. Gives it away here. Kappas bites in and wins the second ball. Referee plays advantage. Now Julio trying to put one through the lines towards Musa, just off the mark there. Just behind Petter Musa with the pass.
Looked like Patrickson was just a little indecisive there and couldn't quite figure out what kind of run Musa was going to make.
8.5 minutes gone. Dallas with a solid start here at Energizer Park. Make it count and get on the score sheet early. They haven't done so very often this season, conceding first in 18 out of 25 games this year.
Well, we're in the 10th minute, and the home team has offered no threat at all. Officially, they've got a shot, but that was just that little chipped-in ball from Padelford.
There's a chance for them to change that. Hartle off the right. Into Leuven centrally, back to Hartle, top of the 18, some space to get the shot away. Big save from Michael Collodi. as he smothers the shot with the right hand, and it's cleared away by Shaq Moore.
I spoke a little too soon, didn't I? But Michael Collodi was big in the moment. That's a great save as he got down quick. Had to stretch that big right hand out.
Well, Hartle hit the crossbar here in Frisco in the opening 5 minutes of the last matchup between these two, and then Dallas went on to claim all 3 points in some style. He's definitely got quality, the German. Here's another 1-2 up the right side, and some space for Volleman behind. Cutback ball for Klaus, and another save from Collodi. 2 in 2 minutes. As the spaces start to open up for St. Louis, Michael Collodi's been equal to it so far.
So I wondered if teams might start trying to pick on Bernie Kamungo's side just a little bit, and looks to me like that's what they're doing with Hartle over there, because this, what trouble they've been able to manufacture, it is coming down that right side.
Hartle's going to take this corner kick from the far side, an outswinger. The designated player. Right arm raised. And here's the service, whipped in towards Falou Fall. Header won by Abubakar, and then Kamungo clattered into, fighting for the second ball. He's won a free kick.
Bernie Kamungo just got cut out a little bit a minute ago, kind of behind the play as that cross came in from the right side. Klaus putting a shot on target, and Michael Collodi now in the first 11 minutes, 2 big saves.
We got another look at that shot from Hartle outside of the right foot, sort of a disguised shot, so good work from Collodi just to be alert to it and make the save. Right for the ball in midfield, it's turned over, and Ramiro will just turn it back to Michael Collodi. Arguide caught on it here by Pompeu, back heel, and Vollem goes on the overlap. Some space for him here up the far side. Runners at the back post for St. Louis. And Vollem is going to be called for a handball as it popped up and hit the arm. Interesting to see Conrad Vollem. I've seen some St. Louis City fans online questioning his inclusion at right back, because for how aggressive he's played tonight, Thomas Totland much more of a natural attacking right back, and he's been all out of, completely out of the thinking of the manager. Hasn't played in the last 5 games. We saw him play very aggressively at Toyota Stadium as the right back earlier this year. And Vollem has had a couple of opportunities now in the overlap to make Dallas pay, unable to do so far. As Musa's whistled for a stray arm there, fighting for the long ball from Collodi.
I see this a lot with Musa. He's just so tall that if he gets his arms up at all, he's getting up around the head of the other players, and Kessler really took one there.
It'll be fine to carry on as St. Louis get the ball back moving. Falou Fall gave up a really bad third goal against Houston last week that ended up being the game-winning goal. He's a big money signing for them, and a long-term piece they've brought in to play left center back. Senegalese back on the ball here.
Yeah, it's just a really bad moment for him. He just took a really sloppy touch, and Houston was in on goal like a flash, and it turned into the game winner for the visiting Houston team.
6'4", number 95 on his back. Hard to miss as he starts this build up here along the left side. Hartle, great ball in behind. It's Simon Betcher on the top of the box, loses that to Abubakar, and Uriguide will play out of pressure. Both teams not afraid to commit numbers forward in these opening 15 minutes. You feel like it's Hartle at the heart of things. Kind of not intended there for St. Louis, and of course it's Musa, who we're looking for to play through on the Dallas side, although Bernie Kamungo has been the most involved in the attack so far. Cap is stripped up from behind by Betcher. Gets up and plays the ball in the midfield for Patrickson. Out to Bernie Kamungo, wide on the left. Checks this one back for Uriguide. Patrickson swings it back towards this near side for Shaq Moore. A little bit of a deeper role for Shaq Moore tonight. But we saw from him a little bit against LAFC as well. Patrickson trying to buy a foul in the middle of the field, nothing given. Now going the other way. It's 2-on-2 for the moment. Dallas fighting to get back in position. It's Klaus at the top of the 18. Klaus onto his right foot. And Klaus just got that one all kinds of wrong. overhit the pass by 10 yards, maybe 15 yards inside the box as he had an overlapping run from Betcher.
Yeah, generally you don't like 2-on-2 that way as a defending team. But one of those defenders was Sazi Regide, so that makes you feel a little better. And in the end, not much came of that one.
So Colodey's going to launch this goal kick long. Mungo fighting for it there with Pompeu. And it'll be a Dallas throw. Looking at the numbers for Michael Colodey, we know he has a high level with the ball at his feet. He's really shown well in terms of shot stopping as well compared to Martin Paas on the season. Colodey going for longer passes on average since he took Martin Paas's place with the injury, but his completion percentage much lower than Martin Paas. I wonder if that's just a sort of a risk-reward type of thing. He's going for those harder passes. It's not going to come off as often. Also credit to Martin Paas, who is up 10% on the season in terms of his long ball percentage.
St. Louis tries to,
There's a mistake from Abubakar, and João Klaus out in the open. He goes for a dive, looking for a penalty, and he's going to pick up.
This is too bad.
Wow.
This is unfortunate because it is so easy to see. Colodey went down. Klaus just dragged his feet and jumped over him.
Klaus not even trying to shoot at an open net. I can't believe this call. I mean, it's a bad mistake from Abubakar. And João Klaus, we know, is really good in these situations in terms of picking the ball up off the last man.
I mean, João Klaus he's way too good an athlete. I think the replays will show, and they will obviously take a look, but Colodey goes down.
That's just not enough to give a red card.
As I look on the replay, the problem is that Colodey does kick his leg out a little bit, and that's going to I think that's going to take him out of the game. Wow. In real time, Ryan, I really thought it was Klaus just buying it, just diving. But when I saw Colodey just stick the leg out a little bit, it's going to buy just enough benefit of the doubt for Chapman to keep his call, I believe.
Well, the contact doesn't start until he's already up in the air going for the dive.
You're right, and I still say, if he hadn't just kicked his leg out a little bit, because Klaus, look, no question, that's what Klaus is looking for.
There's an open net. He doesn't shoot the ball. He goes for the dive, and I guess if he gets the red card and over the course of 90 minutes, it may be the right decision. But
well, now we're going to talk about somebody that you probably haven't heard of, because as Martin Paas went out, and FC Dallas sold who would have been their third goalkeeper.
And Antonio Carrera now with Tigre. So Jacob Jackson is getting warmed up, and he'll enter this game if this isn't overturned.
Lalas Abubakar just dwelling on the ball. And
that's not a penalty, especially the angle we just saw.
It's not a penalty either way. It's
sorry,
gonna be a free kick. Yeah, but it is very clear that João Klaus was not trying to get to the ball. What he was trying to do was draw the contact.
Well, we're still waiting. Dallas hasn't made the change. It's going to be a free kick if the foul's confirmed, just outside the box. And Jacob Jackson might be making his FC Dallas debut here. Played in 5 MLS games before across time with New England and San Diego, sorry.
If he comes in, it's going to be the 17th debut for an FC Dallas man this year. Talk about a lot of roster turnover.
Still the check ongoing for Kevin Stott in the VAR room. And if it's going to take this long, I'd at least like to see an on-field review for the referee to take another look.
No, I don't disagree, but that's not the rule. They don't want the referees to relitigate. They want to call the referee over for a clear and obvious error, which you can make a good case that was one, but they don't call him over to ask him to take another look.
Well, it's been confirmed. Kaique is going to be the player sacrificed here as Jake Jackson enters the game, making his FC Dallas debut, and not in the circumstances he would have hoped. Dallas will play with 10 men for 70-plus minutes here at Energizer Park tonight. Really, really harsh decision. A really bad mistake from Abubakar. And now straight into the fire. Jackson is going to have to defend this free kick, and Leuven can really hit them. And this is in a prime position from inside the D in the central area. And now the whole calculus of this game shifts. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but for now we'll get to this free kick. Jackson sets a 4-man wall. Leuven.
Yeah, Leuven can hit a free kick too.
Now a 5-man wall. Because of that, Julio also laying behind it. Edward Leuven from inside the D. On the approach, right into the wall, an easy one, and on the follow-up, another block for Petar Musa. Really poor effort from a high-quality player there. And now we'll see how Dallas shifts. You'd think with Kayike coming out, maybe Patrickson is the one in there alongside Kayike. I also think that Kayike is the type of player you want out there with 10 men with his industry and energy. Here's Hartle, central position. Musa takes it away. Now a chance maybe on the break. Patrickson puts it in behind for the speed of Anderson Julio. Foot race to get to the ball. And Valum had positioning. Whistle goes as Julio gave him a tap in the back.
You know, I was going to say a while ago that through 20 minutes, Anderson Julio has had 4 touches. He's been a passenger so far. It's just he just hasn't found his way into the game, and now the positioning, it looks a little bit like we're going to try to do a 5-2-2, but now I see Julio maybe dropping back a little further.
There's a ball through the lines. Betcher to Hartle, dropped off for Klaus. Out wide with Padelford. Set back for Durkin, and now Padelford again. Miro and Kappas defending in the wide area. There's Leuven, whips the ball in, controlled by Hartle inside the 18. Combination now still at the feet of St. Louis, and eventually swept clear by Shaq Moore as the offside flag was up anyway.
You know, Dallas hasn't had a lot of volume in attack. They've averaged underneath 4 shots a game the last 4 matches, and only 2 shots on goal in the last 3 matches. It's going to be really tough now playing at this place, Energizer Park, where St. Louis is better. And
I think we just saw a tactical change. Looks like Ramiro's going into midfield. Patrickson's come out to the right side. We'll see.
Yeah, so it'll be Kappas and Ramiro in the middle. So it looks like a 3-4-2.
Well, you practice for 2 weeks, and then you throw the game plan out in 20 minutes because of the red card.
Yeah, that's tough.
We'll see if there's any further tactical tweaks. Just something to think about in terms of the back line, and particularly Urigide's positioning. We've seen him in this 3-man back line now in all 3 of the different spots. And for me, far and away the most effective in the middle of the field. And obviously the mistake for Abubakar coming in the middle of the back 3. It's just, for me, it's a bit of a head scratcher why Urigide is being asked to play out on the left. Hartle down the line, space wide for Pompeu. Low cross in, shot turned goalwards by Durkin over the top.
Well, I'm still trying to sort it out, Ryan. I think maybe they're going to go to 4 in the back. Shaq, Lawless, Zaze, and then Bernie Kamuga is going to become a left back. I think that's the way it's going to look. So it's just Zaze Urigide is just going to be one of the center backs in the 4-man. I think. Looks like it's still
been very in flux since the red card.
Oh, yeah, and you understand that. You know, they're trying to figure out how they want to do this.
It's going to be Jackson to launch it long. Good distance on it from Jake Jackson. Fall wins the header. Ramiro gets the second ball, nodding it towards Patrickson. At the other end, Shaq Moore will watch it bounce out for a Dallas throw. With the red card now, you're going to have no Collodi against Austin next week either. So at the very least, a big opportunity for Jake Jackson.
And they'll have to bring up another goalkeeper from North Texas SC.
Ramiro ahead to the feet of Musa. Set back for Ramiro. First time ball in behind for Patrickson. It was not a bad idea. Kessler read it all the way. Musa, the one-man pressure here against Kessler. And he does actually force the air in combination with some good work from Julio there. Volin puts it out for a Dallas throw. Kappas to Ramiro. Some space for him in midfield. On the line for Bernie Kamungo. Two making runs into the 18. It's set back for Musa. Chipped ball in behind. Out wide right for Shaq Moore. Moore trying to free himself up. Back for Ramiro. Trying to chip it in behind. Didn't get enough on that one. Fight for the second ball. Lubin and Shaq Moore. Lubin brushed aside there by Shaq Moore. One of the foul, nothing given. Now first time ball in behind for Petr Musa. Inside the 18, brings it down. Petr Musa looking for a lane to shoot. It just never opened up for him. And he may not get many opportunities like that tonight. Nice aggressive step forward from Urquidy. Wins possession back quickly.
Urquidy just a wrecking ball over there.
Eventually lost out, and now going the other way, Betcher. Tripped up by Osaze right on the halfway line.
Boy, just a second ago, I really thought that Petr Musa had created that shooting opportunity. Taking another look at it real quick here. And as he gets by the first guy, I think his touch just gets away from set up the shot.
25th minute, if you're just joining us. Michael Collodi given a red card in the first 20 minutes of this game. Dallas playing with 10. Jake Jackson, reserve goalkeeper, making his Dallas debut, is in between the sticks.
And they have sort of settled into 4-4-1, which is generally what you see teams do when they go a man down.
Another moment there where Pompeu trying to dive, waved up by the referee, and he's been so good on every opportunity, noticing St. Louis going down easy, except for the crucial one, and that was Klaus and Collodi. And it was the exact same thing that he's waved up countless players already in these opening 26 minutes for doing. And just because their legs brushed together doesn't mean it shouldn't have been overturned. It's the cards Dallas were dealt tonight, as Jackson launches it long. Fall wins the header. Shaq Moore wins the second ball back towards Patrickson. Trying to flick it on. Now Fall has it blocked out of play for a throw.
So just to reset for you, the back line now left to right is Bernie Kamungo, Osaze Urquidy, Lalas Abubakar, and then Shaq Moore is a right back. The midfield is going to be Anderson Julio on the left, Kappas and Ramiro in the middle, and then Patrickson Delgado on the right side, and then Petr Musa up front in the 4-4-1.
St. Louis can be made to retake this throw.
Isn't it odd how referees can be so persnickety about one thing, but they allow routinely you to take 10, 15 yards of space on the throw, and then you can lift your leg. It just doesn't matter.
Whistle goes. Urquidy again trying to be front-footed, aggressive there against Pompeu.
Gonna defend a man down for 70 minutes on the road. You know, Urquidy is a guy I want in there.
Hartle wide right. Hands it back for Leuven. Leuven to Klaus. Quick combination here. Leuven now inside the box, and good defending from Bernie Kamungo. Put his body on the line. Gets back to his feet now as Dallas send it clear. Back the other way. Hartle picks it up in a central position. Wide now for Betcher. Betcher onto his right foot. Klaus in his way. Now Betcher fires the shot through traffic, and it's deflected out for a corner.
And I'm afraid it's going to be a little bit of a shooting gallery back there against Jackson. Debuting FC Dallas goalkeeper. 6 shots now for the home team. 2 on target. Both of those were saves from Michael Collodi before he was ejected in the 19th minute. Third corner kick. First one that's going to come from the right side. The left side, rather. Beg your pardon.
Hartle with the in-swinger towards the back post. Jackson, nice punch in traffic and gets some air behind it. St. Louis pick up the second ball. Swing it back wide to the opposite side. Into Klaus towards the byline. Looking to cut back. And Kamungo with a nice touch flicks it up into the arms of Klaus to get the handball call. Not the first time this season Dallas has had to deal with a first half red card. I was looking back, trying to check my memory. The Philadelphia game at home, Abubakar sent off in the first half, the 40th minute. And they managed to see that one out for a 0-0 result at home against a very good Philadelphia Union team.
Yeah, that was a second yellow card, Red. And, you know, Abubakar through his career, I've always said it when he came in all those years with Colorado, he always had one big mistake in him. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago against Philadelphia, that second yellow card was a mistake. He didn't really tackle, he really didn't need to fly into, and this time was a mistake with the ball.
Dallas trying to flirt with the press there, and St. Louis sort of awkwardly worked their way through the pressure. Now Dallas back in numbers. Time on the ball for Chris Durkin, former DC United homegrown, out to the right side. Cross swung in, headed at the near post by Uragide, breaks for Padelford, the other side. Leuven, nice ball through the lines, finds Hartle, goes down by Uragide inside the 18. Hartle sets it back now for Durkin. Durkin over to Betcher, first time shot, palmed away by a diving Jake Jackson. Corner coming.
Well, Jackson's had to get right into the game. Nice punch a minute ago in traffic, and that save up high at the near post. Good moment for him. By the way, all that stuff I said about Lalas Abubakar a minute ago, you know, he gives you a lot of good moments too. A couple of weeks ago, he was the man of the match, and deservedly so. You with your funny hat trick.
One of my favorite moments of the season, at least off the field. Here's a shot through traffic, and that is a laser past Jackson from Celio Pompeu. Opens the scoring. Looks like they drew that one up for him from the set play.
We'll have to watch the replay. I think it took a little deflection, Ryan. Got past Jackson that way, but a little bit of a surprise effort as he hit that one from 26, 28 yards.
Well, Pompeo, I mentioned earlier, had, I'm sure, one of the most difficult moments of his career against FC Dallas last season when he broke his leg at Toyota Stadium. And at least on a personal note, this one's got to feel good for him. Just lined up the shot from 25 yards way outside the box.
Yeah, nobody closed.
Flick on the way through.
I couldn't tell if it was Abubakar that tried to head it away, and I don't think it came off his head. I think it went right by him.
Well, hit the top corner in any case, and Dallas now will play from behind at Energizer Park. And that's now a really tall order away from home with 10 men down a goal.
And weren't really generating, although they're pretty good with the ball over the first 10 minutes, weren't really generating a lot of threatening attacks and haven't really sensed the man disadvantage.
Ball down the line for the run of Betcher. Plenty of numbers forward here for St. Louis. Hartle inside the 18. Hartle with a shot from the near side and put that one over the bar.
And, you know, the thing is, if Dallas can find a way to get some possession, to move the ball into St. Louis's end just a little bit more, not sit back quite as deep, I'm telling you, they will make defensive mistakes. Now, you've got to be able to have enough volume with the ball to force them into mistakes.
Well, 2026 season tickets are on sale now. They're the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer, from discounts on concessions to exclusive membership experiences you can't get anywhere else. An FC Dallas membership is a must-have for any Dallas fan. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships.
The other thing you'd mention is that Dallas does have some good attacking options off the bench. Some creativity in Leggett, Pedrinho, battering ram, and Logan Farrington. Sam Sarver can give you something off the bench. So as we get into this match a little bit later, if they can keep this, get into the half at 1-0.
Oh, here's a mistake at the back, and Petter Musa now from the short side finds the equalizing goal. If they're going to do this thing, it's going to be on Petter Musa's back tonight as he gets the goal to knot things up at 1.
Hey, man,
and there's the defensive mistake.
I just told you they're going to make mistakes back there. They do. They will. It's what they do. Look, it was a throw-in for St. Louis, and they're just trying to throw the ball upfield, and instead they give the ball away in a very bad spot. It's Patrickson Delgado that intercepts the ball, finds its way to Kappas. Kappas does what he needs to do, which is immediately play in Peter Musa into a really good spot, and from a terrible angle, it must be said, he beats a really good goalkeeper, Roman Berkey, from close range. Landon Donovan in South Africa at the near post. Roman Berkey goes down a little bit early there. Peter Musa scores his 14th goal this year.
Just incredible. And just when the team needed him. Musa opportunistic. Kappas picks up his first assist for FC Dallas. That's given Dallas some energy here at Energizer Park.
Love how decisive Kappas was. As soon as he got the ball, he immediately played Musa in. Even though Musa wasn't in a really great spot, he was still a little wide, but obviously, even at that bad angle, Roman Berkey just getting a little too low. Just puts it right up in the top corner.
Dallas now going to have to defend another corner from Hartle. It's going to be an in-swinger. We promised goals with this matchup, and the red card made me start to doubt that, but here we are once again, all square. Hartle goes short this time to the top of the 18. Leuven back heel back towards Hartle. Chipped ball in, and that'll be comfortable for Jackson out off his line.
Jackson looks comfortable back there.
Yeah, question maybe on the goal, whether he could have got a hand to it. It's a really good shot.
I mean, it's upper left corner. It's a laser, as you said.
Here's Bernie Kamungo fighting through two City players and now bringing it into the attack where Dallas have some numbers. Check back for Musa. And wide for Anderson Julio. Julio, ball in towards Patrickson inside the 18, sets himself to shoot. Shot blocked by Fall. And then the whistle goes. Another frustrating one where Betcher just comes flying in and threw himself into the contact, and that kills the Dallas attack. But the chances will still be there, even with 10 men tonight.
Yeah, Ryan, I got to say, I mean, Betcher does get in aggressively, but Ramiro's leg is up a little high there. You're still, you're still responsible for where where you're putting your feet. I think Betcher took some cleats in the chest there.
I didn't say it didn't hurt. Okay, I didn't say it didn't hurt. It definitely hurt. Well, Dallas is back home for a big match on Saturday, September 13th against Austin FC. Nico Estevez makes his return to Toyota Stadium. Tickets are going fast, so visit fcdallas.com for more. One of 3 opportunities to see this team in the regular season remaining for you. Here's a nice moment in midfield from Kappas. Quick 1-2 with Peter Musa, bringing it forward now towards the 18 on the other side. Chipped in behind for Musa, not on the same page, making a different run there. And the opportunity that was created by Kappas, he then went and spurned at the other end.
Right, but again, on the nick away there, Kappas immediately getting aggressive, and you're right. Yeah, Musa and Kappas didn't read each other, but that's one of the keys. Kappas doing exactly what we said he needed to do, which play forward with the ball, be aggressive with it.
Durkin time in midfield, swings it out to the far side for Vollum. St. Louis exchanging passes in midfield here. 38th minute, tied up at 1.
Anderson Julio is a left-sided midfielder, just hasn't gotten into the game. It's going to be a place I look for FC Dallas to make a switch at some point.
There's a loose pass straight out of bounds from Edward Leuven. Padelford, the summer acquisition on loan from Minnesota, unable to control it.
Ryan, I'm giggling a little bit because it's got to be so frustrating for the coaching staff, for David Critchley in St. Louis. I mean, what you'd like to tell your team in this situation is just don't make a mistake in the back. Just kick it forward. Just do.
Well, he's been trying to tell them that all season. It hasn't quite clicked.
It hasn't.
Dallas have a throw in here in the attacking half. Shackmore will take it. All the way back now to Jake Jackson, acquired for a 3rd round super draft pick from San Diego FC. He's a San Diego native, just briefly with his hometown team. Here's Ramiro in midfield. Out wide for Kappas, popping up on the left. He's going to hit the switching ball, and it's on a rope out to Patrickson, who brings it under his control. Corner of the 18 now, closed down by Padelford. Shaq Moore goes on the overlap, whipped ball in towards the back post. Julio makes the first contact, trying to direct it towards Musa, but St. Louis send it clear of any danger. Out to Bernie Kamungo, who wins a corner.
Nice job there of winning that corner kick. And looked like Bernie Kamungo, you know, you could say it was a cross, but it wasn't a cross. He was just absolutely trying to win the corner kick, which he did to perfection.
And I don't think there's anybody who wants this more than Lawless Abubakar after making the mistake to lead to the red card. Did he make amends and get something going at the other end from a set play here? Uragide is in there, Moose is in there to aim at for Patrickson.
Oh, man, you're so right, because it's double jeopardy on that mistake. You make a mistake, cost yourself. It's one thing, but you make a mistake that just cost your goalkeeper another match, a Texas Derby match against Houston.
Austin, but
against Austin. I said Texas Derby, and that confused myself.
Patrickson in swinging corner. This one's better shape on it, and it's towards Julio, who's trying to flick it at the near post. We'll get another corner here as Klaus puts it behind.
Boy, if you're going to go to the near post, I'd sure love to see Abubakar or somebody else over there. Klaus against Anderson Julio. Klaus is just going to win that physical battle to get to the spot.
Patrickson touches the corner flag here. That's some kind of signal, and they do go short. Kappas back to Patrickson, and the short set play is ruined as the referee wants to have a conversation. Well, the element of surprise has now vanished, and we'll see if they opt to just whip this one in.
Boy, I said I want to go just get in 1-0 at the half, but take care of things here. Get in 1-1 at the half.
Patrickson does whip this one in towards the back post, but not the right shape on it, and it ends up on the roof of the net.
Patrickson's about 1 for 3 now on his corner kicks, and even that one to the near post wasn't the best delivery, so we've bragged about how he's really done well on those set pieces, but just hasn't had the night with the set piece delivery tonight.
Brought forward on the far side by St. Louis, and now Marcel Hartl finds Durkin back to the former St. Pauli midfielder Hartl. Edward Leuven into Klaus, trying to return it to Leuven, and an important intervention there from Ramiro, and now Dallas building through the middle of the field, but Durkin wins it back for St. Louis into the 18. Klaus sets it back for Leuven. And Uragide had won back possession for the moment, but then gives it away, and it's loose inside the box. Hartl sets it back. Durkin gets it wide for Betcher. Vollum goes on the overlap, opens up for Betcher to dig this cross out towards the back post. And it's Musa who's back defending and got his body in the way. If there's anyone who knows where goals are scored, it's Petr Musa, is putting that to work at the other end there. And he's just stayed in there alongside the back line for the moment. As Dallas are weathering the storm once again. 43rd minute. Here's a ball in behind for Vollum. Low cross towards the near post. Betcher, and now Jackson throwing a body at it, covers it up well.
Jackson took a hit in there as he did it too.
And that would be an absolute nightmare scenario if Jackson is unable to continue. He's holding his knee right now.
It's a pretty physical challenge there from Durkin, who came sliding in aggressively.
We're in the first half, and if you would have to go to an emergency goalkeeper from here, you'd be afraid of what the scoreline would end up at. As much faith as I have in the athletic ability of Logan Farrington, or I don't even know who it would be. Jackson's still down right now. And while we wait and cross our fingers and toes for the Dallas goalkeeper, get a nice note from our PR staff and Edwin Pintor. Steve, I'll let you try and play some trivia here. If you can remember any of the other 3 games in which a Dallas goalkeeper has received a red card in MLS play.
In MLS play, period?
Period. This is the 4th time tonight.
Martin Paz was one of them.
Can you remember where it was?
Oh, was it in St. Louis?
It was in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's right.
Back in 2023.
And I want to say that was a mistake from Ibiaga, maybe, that led to that one.
Yeah, it was also a last-man foul. Handball, though, a little bit different that time.
Yeah.
Martin Paz sent off. The other two, Dario Sala against Chivas in 2009.
You know, honestly, I was going to say.
You didn't have that one?
It was. Well, I wouldn't have felt confident, but if I don't remember it, but if I was guessing, Sala would have been my first guess.
Matt Jordan sent off in 1999 against San Jose. Those are your other instances.
30 years, I'm surprised it has happened a little bit more than that.
Dallas building up on the left side. Kappas chips one in behind, too much on it.
Because it's certainly not common, but it's not exceedingly rare that you see a goalkeeper thrown out. Rare, but not remarkably so.
St. Louis in possession here as we have played 45 minutes. We'll see how much is added on. There certainly was a long stoppage on the red card check. 6 added on. As it's back with Jackson. Rolls it out to Abubakar. Back to Jackson. Back to Abubakar under pressure from Betcher. Dallas playing with some fire here. Eventually Jackson sensibly launches it long.
Sensibly, it's a very good description. Sometimes, to use the American football analogy, which seems appropriate there, sometimes you just got to punt and start all over.
Definitely going to be some punting tonight for Dallas. Durkin wants a foul. It's not given as Patrickson slid in and won a throw.
I mean, you're right. Alan Chapman's been very good tonight about not buying the cheap fouls. St. Louis is trying to sell it. It was just the one big one that João Klaus.
I'll take all the other ones back. Yeah. I'll take that trade every time. I'll take the red card away, and you can have every other foul.
I just wish Michael hadn't gotten that leg up right as Klaus was going through. It's just a natural reaction. I get it, but I think if he doesn't get that leg up just a little bit, and I agree. Look, Klaus was always going for the contact, trying to drag those legs. And I think if he doesn't get that leg up, Klaus just sort of falls over, and I think it probably gets a yellow card, honestly.
Moore takes a throw for Dallas. Musa wins the flick on. It's back at his feet here. Bounces off him kindly for Shaq Moore, and then Betcher puts it out for a Dallas throw. We played now 2 minutes of 6 added on.
Well, Dallas being outshot 12-4, which you would expect after 19th minute red card. But look, if they can get in at 1-1, I'd say you're not unhappy if you're Eric Quill.
Kessler back to Berkey. Patrickson's the one-man pressure this time.
And Patrickson doesn't need to do that. He needs to understand the situation. He's up there. One-man press is not a press.
I don't know. I'd like to see Fallu Fall made uncomfortable after last week.
That's fair.
Just run around him and try and see if we can disorient the new center back for St. Louis. We'll switch it over to the other side and Vollum. Finding Leuven now. 5 goals, 2 assists on the season, including an absolute banger in garbage time against Houston last week. Here's Hartle inside the 18, and his ball towards the back post, punched away by Jackson. Couldn't really tell if it was a shot or a cross from the German.
Here's the other reason you don't want a one-man press. So as Dallas reshaped their Peter Musa sort of dropped in as a right-sided midfielder for Delgado because he was up there by himself. Delgado sort of took up the position as forward. Well, Musa is obviously not a wide midfielder. He wasn't really playing a passing lane, and that's how St. Louis got through that time way too easily. And luckily Jackson's there.
Yeah, it was a sort of chipped shot towards the back post that Jackson got a nice hand to. It will be a save.
But that was just Pompeo just getting through a lane that was just parted like the Red Sea there.
There's a ball in behind along the right side for Shaq Moore. He gets there first, gets past Padelford, cutting back. Padelford leaning on him, gets back in position. And now Shaq Moore maybe trying for a corner kick there. His cross didn't really have a name attached. Eventually St. Louis send it clear. Arguide, nice header, one in midfield. Flicked on by Kappas, and it's out for a Dallas throw, last off Hartle.
I mean, when Dallas can't get the press up high, St. Louis just looks terribly uncomfortable.
a throw in here in an attacking area. Halfway through, 6 minutes added on. In towards Musa, edge of the box. Musa trying to get turned. Unable to keep possession. Kamungo will track it down at the other end. Plays it all the way back to Jackson. And João Klaus had made his sort of trademark run to cut off the ball back to the goalkeeper. It got back to Jackson, but his ball is skewed straight out of play off the left foot.
Yeah, he caught the slice there, but nobody cares about it. I mean, you know, that's the safe play, and went out for a throw-in, no harm.
There's a giveaway in midfield to Petter Musa. Can't find a pass forward to a teammate. Turns over to Falu Fall. Moving through the lines to Betcher. Fall out to Padelford here. Dallas really defending with Petter Musa in the line of midfield as well in a 4-5 as we play on here in stoppage time with at least a point to protect for the moment. First time cross flicked at the near post towards Betcher at the back post, and it somehow evades the St. Louis University graduate there. Real opportunity as Durkin met it at the near post with a flick on.
Yeah, for a minute there, I was afraid that was going to sort of squirrel its way into that back post, but good job there getting to the near post. Just didn't have the accuracy on the header.
Yeah, just how you would draw it up from Vollum and then from Durkin. Just evades Simon Betcher at the back post. Jackson sends him long. And that will do it here in the first half. Dallas down a man. Michael Collodi shown the straight red card 20 minutes in. Pompeu got the scoring started for St. Louis before who else? Petter Musa knotted things back up at 1. That's where we're at, headed into the halftime break. The Dallas Burn all square at Energizer Park. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer here, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 45 plus at Energizer Park, it is FC Dallas 1, St. Louis 1, in what can only be described as unexpected circumstances for the Dallas Burn. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas Halftime Show, brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voices of tonight's matchup at Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But let's start first with your halftime highlights. The first low light of the game came in the 16th minute officially. Michael Collodi sent off for a dog show red card on João Klaus. After a couple-minute review, he was replaced by Jake Jackson. Kaike, the sacrificial lamb for that one, as Dallas goes down to 10 men in the officially 19th minute after a 16th-minute red card. It was Celio Pompeo who got the scoring going off the training ground set piece, just a laser sent by Jake Jackson. That made it 1-0 St. Louis in the 32nd minute. But it wouldn't take Dallas but 3 minutes later to equalize the match.
Oh, here's a mistake at the back, and Petter Musa now from the short side finds the equalizing goal.
if they're going to do this thing, it's going to be on Petter Musa's back tonight as he gets the goal to knot things up at 1.
Musa's 14th goal of the MLS campaign. That brings him within 5 of setting the all-time single-season record for FC Dallas on goals. But that made it 1-1, which is where we sit at halftime. Let's bring tonight's halftime stats brought to you by UMB Bank. As expected, the home side has the possession lead 57-43. 14 shots for City, 6 of those on target. 4 shots for FTD, just 1 of those on goal. That, of course, is Musa's 14th goal. 5 corners for the home side, 3 for the visitors. You've got 5 saves from the combined effort of Michael Colodi and Jake Jackson. No saves so far from Roman Berkey. 8 fouls each, and of course, the 1 card so far is Michael Colodi's straight red in the 16th. As we bring in our voices of tonight's match, it's Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, let's start here. Michael Colodi, red card. Go.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think we sort of made our opinion clear on the broadcast as well that Klaus, it's pretty shameful to me. It's not a real respect for your opponent when you have an open goal to shoot at and instead you try and chip it past the goalkeeper and draw the red card. He's always looking to go down. The contact starts with Colodi when he's already in midair for his dive. For me, it's one that should have been checked, should have been reviewed, should have been overturned. But Dallas, to their credit, even after going down a goal after that, fought back. Jackson's looked pretty good overall for the situation being thrown right into the spotlight, the line of fire, making 3 saves after coming into the game. And when you got Petter Musa out there, you've got a chance, baby. That's got to be the motto for them in the second half. Get him a couple opportunities and try and snatch this one.
The other thing that's sort of weird about the João Klaus moment, usually you see a forward do that a lot, but it's usually inside the penalty area because they know they're going to get a penalty kick. In this case, you're right. His only real hope there is to draw a red card, but it's not a big chance you're going to do it. So it's sort of weird that he would have even done that in that moment because, again, I will say that he was going for the contact. That's all he was going for. Colodi, when he raises his leg, he gets himself in a little bit of trouble, but just sort of odd that João Klaus, and you're right, I guess it's just when you're a team that's struggling like St. Louis is, you're just taking flyers, and this one paid off for him.
Well, obviously it's that really created problems for FC Dallas. But the bright spot, as Ryan mentioned, in the goal call, it's Petter Musa. His 14th goal of the year, as we're seeing top scorers on the screen right now, just 2 off from the top group of elite MLS scorers, Steve. And that goal that he scored is a top-shelf striker's goal, credited with an assist, the first in MLS for Christian Kappas.
The other talking point here is that FC Dallas, after tonight, they've got 6 matches left. He needs 4 goals in that time to match FC Dallas's sort of triple record there that's held by 3 guys. A single-season record of goals of 18, held by Jason Christ, Kenny Cooper, and Jesus Ferreira. So I think given how hot he is, he's got a real good chance to maybe create that record, maybe set that record himself. And in a season when they're going to struggle, they might still make the playoffs. It's going to be tough. In a season when a lot hasn't gone right, that might be a real highlight for the 2025 FC Dallas campaign.
Yeah, and with his increased, assists on the season compared to last year, now he's got more goal contributions than he did in his debut season, and that was that came with some rave reviews, that debut season. So now up to 20 goal contributions, 14 goals and 6 helpers for Petter Musa, who's now equaled the best ever 2-season stretch for a Dallas striker with 30 goals in total, and you like him to at least get 1 more the rest of the way. So that record will be the first to fall, I'd imagine, before he goes for that single-season tally.
I might like him to get 1 more tonight at least because, what we talked about a while ago, St. Louis, they've been giving up goals by the bushel. They've given up 9 goals in the last 3 games. They're going to give you another really good chance, maybe a couple of real good chances in the second half, especially as FC Dallas they're going to bring out another attacker at some point, maybe 2 other attackers. They're going to put some pressure on it at some point, and I'd like Musa to score another one tonight.
Yeah, and continuing talking about the red card a little bit, I want to talk about the effect of it. I'm sure that's where Sam was probably going to go next
the
anyway.
knock-ons.
The knock-on effect of it, losing Kaique, shifting Ramiro into midfield. There's some positives and negatives for me because you get all 4, maybe not Bernie Kamungo as a natural left back, might not be his best role, but you get Shaq Moore back into his best role as a true right back. Osaze and Lawless as your center back pairings. Ramiro back in the middle of the field where he's comfortable. It's not how you wanted it to happen, obviously, with the going down to 10 men, but you did get some guys back into, at least in my opinion, their more natural position where they can affect the game. But I'm also curious about taking Kaique off the field because obviously he lacks in experience a little bit compared to some of the other midfield options. But you're going to need legs in there. You're going to need energy down an extra man on the road tonight, and taking him out of the game means obviously he can't come back in at any point. And now you've got Kappas and Ramiro who have great qualities, great experience. Maybe that's who you want in there. But I think back to the Philly game, right, when Dallas got the first half red card. Who was the midfield pairing that saw them out that night? It was Patrickson and Kaique. And those two, what they lack in experience, they bring in energy, industry. They showed me that they could be disciplined with 10 men. So I was a little bit surprised to see he was the one to be withdrawn over maybe a Patrickson tonight.
Well, I'll build on that. Honestly, the one I might have liked to have seen withdrawn, Anderson Julio. Right now, he's got 15 touches. He's only 5 of 10 on his passes. He's only contributed 1 defensive action. I just don't see that he's brought anything to the game at this point. Basically playing the same position, Patrickson maybe a little bit different early on. By comparison, 24 touches, 9 of 12 on his passes. He's contributed 5 defensive actions. So, I think Delgado's giving them something. He's really brought something to the game. Bernie Kamungo on the left side, I think he's had some nice moments. Anderson Julio is the one that I just think it's just not his night tonight. He just hasn't found the game, and he's the one that I might have tried to subtract.
Yeah, he continues for me to be just a little bit lost in this shape. I mentioned earlier that his last goal came in May, and that was when Dallas was playing a different shape, when Lucho Acosta was pulling the strings in midfield. So I think since Lucho's departure, it's been difficult for Julio to affect the game, because that's one less thing for the opposition to think about in the attacking third. If they're worried about Lucho, then those runs in behind from Julio can be a little bit more effective. Right now, obviously, they're keying in on Petar Musa, but Julio just hasn't found a way to be effective in a strike partnership since they moved to this 2-striker look. You've got great options on the bench. You don't have to stick with him if you don't want to. Having already used one of your substitutions, one of your sub windows in the first half, it might be worth doing it at halftime so you preserve those 2 sub windows for the second half, whether you bring a Farrington, a Sarver, somebody like that off the bench in the second half.
And by the way, I think I want to say this as long as we're talking about Patrickson Delgado, because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, I don't think we mentioned this, but a while ago, that thing happened so quick on the FC Dallas goal. It was Patrickson Delgado who was sharp and clever in the press, who nicked the ball. It dropped right to Kappas to Petar Musa. Musa roofed it, but it was Patrickson Delgado that created that turnover way down at St. Louis end to create that goal.
Well, as we have about 90 seconds here to go, I'm going to go ahead and call my shot. I think Sam Sarver game-winning goal here is what's going to end up happening.
Obviously, his biggest impact was against St. Louis earlier in the season when he won that penalty. So I could see his speed and his industry being really useful in the second half. I like that call.
I do too. But as far as Ryan, if you had one change to make here, whether it's Anderson Julio or someone else, what do you think Eric Quill should do, whether it's at halftime or otherwise?
I think I would like to see Farrington into the game for Julio. Obviously, he doesn't bring the same level of speed, but he's been in really good goal-scoring form of late. He'll give you the defensive side of the game. He'll win free kicks for you, which can be an avenue back into this game. So I'll be surprised if he doesn't come on at the half or soon into the second half.
Would it be fair? I don't think I would object to Farrington. But should it be Sam Sarver? Talking about a guy who's going to give you energy over there.
He'll give you energy for sure, and I think that's going to be a real debate within the coaching staff if they want to make that change at halftime between those two.
Steve Davis, also you've got Sebastian Lletget on the bench as well. Could that veteran kind of calmness, especially because Dallas is going to have to defend a lot in the next 45 minutes, be something of use as well?
Yeah, its creativity could be of use. I don't know that this is going to be a match, considering what kind of team St. Louis is. Considering Dallas, really is going to have to press. They need 3 points. I don't see this game requiring a lot of calm. I think it's going to require a lot of winning balls, a lot of effort. Honestly, I like Lletget. I think he brings a lot. And if you're trying to see out the game and you want possession, yeah. But I think a guy like a Farrington, a Sam Sarver, to me they say chaos. They don't, and I think the game is going to call for chaos, not calm.
I think that's fair. Well, we will see. There's 45 minutes left to go at Energizer Park. It's FC Dallas 1, St. Louis City 1. Dallas playing down a man after a 16th-minute red card to goalkeeper Michael Collodi. That's going to do it for the halftime show. When we return, Ryan and Steve will take you to the second half of action from St. Louis. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation, and the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back into Energizer Park. Dallas knotted up at 1 at St. Louis City SC tonight. It's the Dallas Burn in action in the Legacy kit in all black. They'll move from right to left here in the second half, down to 10 men after the first half red card to Michael Collodi. That means Jake Jackson's number 98 is in net, down on the right side in all orange. St. Louis in their city red, a.k.a. pink, will move from left to right here in the second half as we're back underway. Dropped off to Roman Berkey to get things going.
Oh, we had a fun discussion off air, didn't we? Like, if disaster strikes, who plays goalkeeper? Who comes in? Is it Logan Farrington, who's a good athlete? Is it Alvaro, who's 6'5"? We don't have an answer.
And hopefully we don't find out.
Hopefully we
That'd be one that we'd rather ask on Friday. Ask the question.
Mike McGee, a long time back, had a famous match when he had to go in and play a little emergency keeper. Made some saves.
The most famous Dallas example I can remember is Ryan Hollingshead winning goal at one point. And that was just perfectly in tune for him and his ability to play at just about every position.
Made a save, if I recall.
First time cross from the near side is headed on target by Durkin, but right at Jake Jackson, who picks it up for the easy save here a minute into half number 2.
Chris Bondi went in goal back in 2003, but that was when they were doing that weird goalkeeper switch to get an extra, to sort of finagle an extra sub. Takes too long to explain how that worked out, but they took that out where you couldn't do it anymore.
First possession of the half for Dallas. Julio trying to use his speed on the far side. Bounces back to Shaq Moore, who just sends it out into touch. And quickly back in play. Klaus along the left side, chipped ball in towards Betcher. Header won by Uragide. Betcher then clatters into Osaze. Not sure how that wasn't whistled for a foul.
Absolutely should have been.
It's out for a throw for Klaus near the corner flag. And they're going to set up a long throw here, bringing the center backs forward. Padelford dries off the ball before launching it long.
Let's take a look at Chris Kappas here. Didn't really mention him at half. I think he's had a good, steady match.
Picked up the assist and really was the key to driving Dallas forward at times. Here's the long throw headed away by Uragide. Volum recovers. Gets it out to Pompeo, the goal scorer. Off the left foot, bending ball towards Falu Fall. Header won by Uragide. And then Julio going for the second ball. Referee says not a foul, even though Julio made the contact. Uragide with an important header inside the box. Then Bernie Kamungo sends it clear, and Julio's still down. And now the referee will go and check on Anderson Julio. You can sort of see under his right shirt sleeve maybe some sort of strap or tape peeking out from under there. Maybe he's already dealing with the shoulder injury that could have been exacerbated here.
He kind of got undercut there by Hartle. But Hartle, to be fair, he sort of had position. Anderson Julio, unless he's really hurt, he needs to get up here because they don't need to play. They don't want him to have to go sit out for that. Well, I guess he told Alan Chapman he didn't need assistance, so he's still getting up slowly, but they won't have to bring him off.
Restart with the drop ball. And St. Louis build up here on this near side. Movement out to Pompeu. One of a few originals still left. Pompeu started not in year one, in year 0 when they entered their second team into MLS Next Pro before they were active in MLS. Pompeu whips this one in towards the near post. Betcher fighting for it, goes down. And quickly back to his feet, realized he wasn't going to get a penalty. Dallas, though, with no avenue to clear their lines. Back out to Pompeu. Ballum goes on the overlap. Pompeu right-footed cross towards the back post. Klaus got it nowhere near goal with the header. Breaks out to Bernie Kamungo again on this near side, but he can't keep possession. Ramiro sliding tackle, puts it out for a throw.
Bernie tried to dribble out of trouble there. Got himself in trouble, and then Ramiro was Johnny on the spot with a nice tackle.
Played almost 5 minutes, completely controlled by St. Louis to start the second half. Keep it moving here. Kessler going from right to left for Falou Fall. Marcel Hartle. Cap is standing a couple yards away defending. They'll give Falou Fall some space here. Moving out wide for Hartle. Bending ball in off the right foot towards the back post. And that one past everybody and out for a goal kick.
Nice job there by Bernie Kamungo, just making sure he had position, seeing that safely out.
Jackson will send the team up the field. We want to remind you that you can catch the FC Dallas Rewind on KDFI More 27 every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. You can watch the latest FC Dallas match for free on KDFI More 27. This over-the-air channel is free and available everywhere in the DFW market.
And it's worth saying what I was talking about a minute ago with Bernie Kamungo. Defending that back post, it's not a natural thing because you're looking across the field and everything going on, but you got to be aware of what's behind you, and the positioning there is always tricky. So, Bernie Kamungo being new at it, doing a good job.
St. Louis, another charge up this near side. Pompeu cuts back. Ramiro read it well and goes down, waved up by the referee, who's not come to Dallas's aid in this second half to start things. A header on target is saved by Jackson.
Alan Chapman's been consistent. He hasn't been blowing the whistle for the soft fouls.
Well, Dallas need to find their feet here in the second half, and they're going to be punished.
Ramiro making his case there, yelling at Chapman that he certainly didn't think that was a soft contact foul.
Berkey nearly had it caught under his feet as Musa was charging right at him, and got it out before he got a face full of antlers.
Yeah, it looked like Berkey and Musa had a funny little moment, little humor there.
There's an early ball towards the back post, and Betcher trying to retrieve it. It goes past everybody and out for a goal kick. I think you can count the touches on the ball for anyone not named Jake Jackson here in the second half so far on one hand.
17 shots now for St. Louis. It's that total is just going to keep climbing.
It's going to have to be bend, but don't break. 70 minutes down a man tonight for Dallas. Jackson launching this one long. Header one uncontested by Kessler out to Pompeu. Ramiro on his back. And Pompeu again with another dive. This time he is rewarded with a free kick.
Ryan, I think Ramiro kicked him pretty good there.
I don't know, Steve. I'm not Alan Chapman's biggest fan tonight.
This is a classic Ryan Steve debate.
It's going to be a free kick along the right side for St. Louis. Leuven will take it from a wide position just outside the technical area of David Critchley, his manager. Whipped in, easily headed away by Julio, though didn't get much behind it. Possession stays with St. Louis. Hartle back to Leuven. First time ball in towards the near post. Turned wide of goal by Chris Durkin.
Pretty useful ball there, whipped in by Leuven. Durkin, you can see what he was trying to do, just flick it toward that near post, but just didn't have the technical expertise to execute that one.
The Toyota Stadium renovations are underway. You can check out the latest updates with the new construction cam, available in real time. To learn more about this ambitious project that gives Toyota Stadium a brand new roof to cover every seat in the building, gorgeous new club spaces, and much more, please visit newtoyotastadium.com. Dallas unable to control it off the goal kick, and now going the other way. Pompeu cutback ball left at the back post for Joao Klaus, and a huge sliding block from Shaq Moore keeps this game level at 1.
Big moment there from Shaq Moore as he and Jackson were both trying to collapse in on Klaus, who had all kinds of time to line up that shot.
Shaq slow to get to his feet. I think the contact came from his goalkeeper. And if there was a time for Eric Quill to look to his bench and try and change this game, it's, if not 10 minutes ago, it's now. As Dallas have been at odds and ends, just completely on the back foot to start the second half. Leuven whipped in towards the near post, headed away by Anderson Julio. Leuven does a good job to keep it in play near the corner flag. Now Valum, a deep cross towards the back post. And Joao Klaus going up over the top of the Dallas player. It's still bouncing around to the 18. Jackson made a good save in there. Now Klaus puts one behind for a goal kick.
That ball was rolling slowly toward the near post, and Jackson did. Looked like you saw it late, but big lunge, big right hand out there, stuck it out, and just kept that ball from going in before it trickled over that line.
Well, you don't often say that the goalkeeper's conditioning is going to be tested, but that might be true for Jackson tonight with how busy he's been and how little game action he's had over the past 3 seasons.
Well, I didn't think there was any fault at all on the goal. I thought it was a really good shot by Pompeu. I mean, maybe, you know, at his best, Martin Paz can pick that out, or maybe even Collodi, although he's not as big, maybe he can get to it. Maybe a bigger goalkeeper can, but
yeah, I think it was a potentially savable shot for Martin Paz, maybe not for either of the other 2 Dallas goalkeepers. Just on reach alone.
Yeah.
There's a ball in the midfield for Leuven. He's got time to turn, swings it across for Valum on the dribble. Pick out his cross, deflected by Patrickson behind for another corner.
Yeah, corner's going to start adding up as well. This is going to be number 7 for St. Louis.
Be Hartle to take. Sharing set piece duties with Edward Leuven. St. Louis stationed 2 players right on Jake Jackson. As Hartle winds up an outswinger. And towards the near post, and Julio's been useful in that position, defending set pieces. 3rd one in a row he's cleared. And Patrickson fouled, not given. St. Louis plays on, moving from right to left. Dallas pinned inside the 18 here. The wave up has gotten increasingly one-sided after the break. Urguide defending in the wide area against Pompeu, concedes another corner. Another look at a great reaction save actually from Jackson, because it was headed up and to his left and then deflected low and to his right, and he managed to claw it away. Leuven, left arm raised, in swinging service towards the near post. Straight up in the air, Musa wins the second header. Now Padelford through traffic, and Jackson nearly wrong-footed, palms it over. The one-way traffic continues, but the Dallas reserve goalkeeper standing on his head a little bit to start the second half.
Eric Quill absolutely has to do something to change the game here. I mean, the dam is going to break at some point. Ninth corner kick. That was the 20th shot.
Leuven this time past the first man. The second man is Lalas Abubakar, who put some distance behind his clearance. And Berkey at the halfway line retrieves it out to Pompeu. The goal scorer tonight for St. Louis from distance. Vollum whipped in, Abubakar stooping low to head it clear. Now Pompeu through traffic, and it's Uriguire to clear. Down the line for Vollum. Cross swung in, headed away by Kappas. Out towards Musa.
I mean, right now it's just a training ground exercise of cross and clear.
And Patrickson threw himself down there. Not even in the mood I'm in tonight. I'm going to defend that one, but he at least wins a goal kick. And then he has some words for the assistant. Needs to be careful not to get booked. And
I mean, that's just silly because he's seen how the game is called. He knows he's not going to get that call. He should know. You just can't, you try, but if you don't get the call, you can't be mad about it because you've seen 60 minutes of it.
First into the yellow card tally tonight, Patrickson Delgado.
I think that was because he was screaming at the referee's assistant over there. I think if he turns around and screams at Alan Chapman, Chapman probably just brushes it off.
Dallas bench absolutely beside themselves. They want a foul as Musa was dealing with contact when he won the header straight out for a St. Louis throw. I'll tell you what, Jake Jackson makes some saves look like a lot of fun. He's springy in that. Pompeu whipped in. Hartle won a header, flicked off a Dallas defender out towards Padelford at the back post. Julio defending, loses out. Padelford now sends the cross in, and Abubakar wins the header to put it towards the corner flag on this near side. Kept alive by St. Louis. Pompeu whips the cross in, Abubakar away. Peter Musa cleans up a heavy first touch, and Patrickson sends it down the field.
I mean, if St. Louis is just going to sit out there and, sort of cross the ball willy-nilly, Osaze and Lalas Abubakar aren't bad guys to have in there.
Vollum approaching the 18-yard box. Low ball in. Hartle now shot on target. Again, palmed over by Jackson. Another corner coming.
Number 10, 24 shots.
This time they go short. Vollum sends the cross towards the back post. Fallu Fall should have had the go-ahead goal. Nodded it off target. Almost uncontested there, the Senegalese defender.
Sam Hale wondered about, at halftime, our producer wondered about Leggett. Maybe he's not a bad one to bring in here because Dallas desperately needs some possession.
And Patrickson's influence has sort of evaporated.
Well, he's being asked to play a position, in fairness to him, that he's not really used to playing. As a right-sided midfielder without a lot of the ball.
Kamungo wins a contested header. Kappas picks up the second ball, but just sends it straight up in the air, not what he was intending.
I mean, as we're in the 62nd minute now, the other thing you wonder about is, absent any personnel maneuvers or tactical adjustments, sometimes it's just getting fresh legs on. Dallas needs some of that right now, desperately.
Wide with Vollum. Turns past Patrickson, moving from outside to in. Now drops it off for Kessler. Ball in, easily caught there by Jake Jackson. His possession now at 65% for St. Louis. I feel like the second half possession is more like 85.
The other thing you'd say is if Dallas is going to do nothing but defend, then, Patrickson, Delgado, and Anderson Julio maybe aren't the guys you want in there.
Fallu Fall, another towering header off the long ball from Jackson. Abubakar sending it down the field, but it's picked off by Leuven on halfway. Switching ball from Leuven's awkward, and Anderson Julio's interested here, just about beaten to the ball. And now Kappas fighting forward here with Fallu Fall. Just an absolute scrap going on right now. Eventually, Ramiro was fouled, and referee plays a good advantage there as Julio couldn't do anything with the ball. See, I complimented him, Steve.
You did. And it was, but you're right. Played advantage for the moment. Then when Anderson Julio couldn't catch up with the ball, Alan Chapman called the foul back on Ramiro, about 10 yards back behind the play.
And Ramiro will line up this free kick. Dallas sending some bodies forward. Lifted in by Ramiro. Uriguide gets a contact on it towards Musa. Sent clear by Fall. Fighting for the second ball. It breaks for Julio on the right side. Julio bursts to speed towards the byline. Now cuts back, frees himself up. Cutback ball for Patrickson inside the 18. Dallas with targets to aim at the back post. Now find Ramiro towards the byline. Deflected ball behind for a corner.
I got a corner kick out of it eventually, but Patrickson, Delgado, and Anderson Julio have a moment where they can cross the ball. They got a guy in there who's flirting with a single-season FC Dallas goal-scoring record. So,
And it was Uriguide and Abubakar. Those were the three to aim at.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that
right.
with who Dallas has out there right now. Let's see if Patrickson can now provide the cross from the corner kick. 65th minute. Rare attacking chance in the second half. Whipped in towards the near post, allowed to bounce, and last touch was off St. Louis. They'll get another chance at it.
Patrickson, Delgado still not hitting the corner kicks awesomely, but that one was a little bit better. Last 3 games, St. Louis had trouble defending set pieces, have given up a couple of goals off the dead balls.
Been giving away a lot of penalties recently, 5 in the last 5 games. Right now there's no ball for Patrickson to play in. He hasn't spotted this ball is 3 yards behind him, or maybe he knew.
I think he knew. It rolled by him.
Well, he has to be careful. He's the one player booked. But we will play on here. He's going to take the corner. Second opportunity for him. Whipped in towards Julio at the near post. Header won by Klaus.
Again, if you're going to go to the near post, why is it Julio? Second time Klaus has won that battle.
Second ball lifted in by Ramiro. Uriguide, big header on target. Big save from Berkey. That may have been the moment. But they'll get another chance at it with a corner from the opposite side. Uriguide looking for his second of the season there.
But there you go. Early cross. Uriguide, header, back post. Forces a big save from Roman Berkey. That was Ramiro with the early cross. Don't miss the opportunities when you get the ball forward.
Nice header there, just dunking on Henry Kessler.
Yeah, he sure did.
Big save from the all-star goalkeeper, Roman Berkey. Patrickson this time from the near side, an in-swinger. Whipped in over the near post, flicked along by St. Louis, and behind for another corner.
That was a better serve from Patrickson. Delgado put it right in the mixer, right in the middle. A couple of yards off the goal line, a lot of traffic in there.
This is just nice for Dallas, right, to get a rest from defending.
Looked like a Declan Rice Arsenal special.
My favorite.
I knew I'd get a rise out of Ryan Figert that way.
Patrickson now makes his way all the way across the field to the other side.
Did that thing where it looks like he's running, but he's not. He's trying to take his time, which he is the right to do.
Right arm raised. Delgado with some air underneath this one towards Kappas. Header won by Leuven. Second ball, header won by Bernie Kamungo. Flicked along by Musa. Eventually sent clear. And Kamungo with an important slide tackle, a good one. And now an early cross in towards Musa over his head. Julio will give chase and eventually commits a foul. Second to the ball there as Betcher's down in some pain here.
If Julio doesn't make that late challenge, didn't need to make it. I think that ball is rolling out. Dallas would retain possession. Now finally a change coming for FC Dallas, I believe.
It's going to be Ibeagha into the game. Leggett into the game as well. Patrickson replaced. And Julio replaced. So maybe a change in shape here.
Well, those were the two we suspected. And I understand why Ibeagha is coming in, because it's one more player to just clear those headers. It's all St. Louis has. They're not really trying to go through the middle anymore. It's just get the ball wide, get a cross in. So Ibeagha is another good one to. Now you got 3 center backs to deal with all that.
5-3-1 by the looks of things now. St. Louis, in turn, will bring another forward into the game, and Brendan McSorley signed this week. He replaces Simon Betcher. A double Sebastian substitution for Eric Quill. And Ibiaga goes into the middle of the back three.
And this is 5-3-1, and this is sort of what I wondered if they might have gone to a while ago.
There's the first involvement for McSorley. Whips the early ball in. Klaus, snapshot over the bar.
I mean, St. Louis is going to end up with 30-plus shots here. Somebody's going to have to go spelunking through the old record books, because that 30-plus shots is not going to happen very often.
Well, they've only got 2 and change seasons of record books in St. Louis.
I mean, for Dallas.
Yeah, shots
in terms
against.
of shots against, yeah. As I say that, Sam Hale over there puts on a spelunker's light, whatever you call that hat. Starts trying to pour through the record books.
Padelford ball in behind, and there's some space along the left side. Now McSorley straight into the game, straight into the action. Low shot blocked by Ibiaga, and out for a corner. I think that was a product of the change in shape. They weren't quite spaced correctly there.
Yeah, well, if they're going to go to 3 up front and sort of go to wingers, then Dallas has to keep those outside backs a little more true.
Hartle will take the corner from the far side. Keys the runs with the right arm raised. Now dinks this one in. Ton of air underneath it, and Jackson couldn't ask for an easier cross to claim. I wonder if with corner kicks, I mean, we saw Patrickson just have 3 in a row. Hartle's had plenty of chances at it tonight. You feel like it'd be something that, if you got a lot of opportunities, you could sort of dial it in by the 5th or 6th time you've had a corner kick, but they've seemed to have gotten progressively worse tonight.
Well, this is where we remind you that St. Louis sitting at the bottom of the Western Conference. Along with the LA Galaxy, they've been there all year.
Leuven, diagonal ball from the middle of the field out to this near side for Pompeu, down the line. Vollum, back for Pompeu, right-footed cross. He's met at the near post by Abubakar. He's got Klaus for company, and he has to put it behind for a corner.
At that time, St. Louis created a 3v2 over on the right side. That's the overload teams look for, but they didn't take advantage.
They go short from the corner. Now Hartle shot through traffic, blocked by his own man, and sent clear by Abubakar. And that's the exact play that led to the opening goal. And Dallas not alert to it. Now brought forward again, down the line for Durkin. Can't keep it in play. Be a throw. Turns out when you give a really bad attacking team a bunch of attacking reps, they still look bad.
Go figure.
Although they have been scoring goals recently, to their credit. Just not enough. Musa trying to volley that to switch the play, gives it away to Hartle in the middle of the field. Vollum to Pompeu. Pompeu, drop of the shoulder. Bernie Kamungo fighting to get back in position, and did well. Ramiro eventually comes across to intercept. Last touch was off Sebastian Leggett.
Nice defensive work there by Bernie Kamungo, and good work on getting the ball out of there, but Leggett couldn't handle the pass and went out for a throw-in.
72nd minute, 1-1 your score. All the scoring in the first half after the Michael Colodi red card in the opening 20. Vollum left-footed cross sent in, headed away by Urquide.
I mean, Dallas center backs earning their money tonight. Just dealing with cross after cross after cross.
Moving back out to Fall. Fall, left-footed ball sent in, volleyed into the air by Ibiaga. And Leuven, nice close control there. Under pressure from Kappas, brings it down. First time cross from the far side. Hartle inside the 18. Gets the shot away, blocked by Ibiaga. Hartle again. Gets the shot off the right foot over the bar.
Well, if I'm counting correctly, that shot's 29 and 30 that we just saw. And just sort of for reference there, high for shots against FC Dallas this year so far, 23. And that was against Philadelphia when they had enjoyed the man advantage for about the same amount of time St. Louis is going to have it tonight.
St. Louis 20 more minutes, a man up. And still 20 more minutes to go tonight, including stoppage time. Ibiaga takes the goal kick, interestingly enough.
It's Jackson, because Jackson was hitting those 70 yards a while ago. Is he still feeling that knock?
Yeah, maybe.
Must be. Because he can certainly hit him.
Durkin down the line for Pompeu. Pompeu trying to play in Valum, and Bernie Kamungo will watch that one over the line for a goal kick.
Now wisely, because it eats up a few more seconds. Although, you know, with Dallas, ordinarily you play on the road, 70 minutes, a man down, got a young debuting goalkeeper in there, you'd be okay with a draw. But we'll talk about this in the postgame show. You know, the framing is just so different right now for FC Dallas because, generally speaking, you're okay with a road draw, but this is not generally speaking time. They need wins.
There's an attacking move at fullback for David Critchley in St. Louis. Totland is in for Padelford. First appearance in over a month for Thomas Totland. Ostrak is in for Pompeu. The goal scorer tonight for St. Louis. The parts. Long ball from Ibiaga, header won by Ramiro. Musa dropping deep, goes all the way back to Ibiaga, sends it forward, looking for the run of Leggett. Header won by Valum.
I'd like to have seen Dallas just keep a little bit more possession there.
Now going the other way, McSorley off to St. Louis left. Ball in behind Aviragide, and Jackson quick to read that. Did well to come and pick it up. Didn't seem to be moving with any kind of limitation there.
Nice moment there from Jackson, who come in here and made good saves and looked nice and calm.
Well, here's a nice long ball forward from Jackson. Musa flicks it on for Leggett. Now Musa looking for a diagonal ball to switch the play towards Shaq Moore, and Totland volleys it clear.
I mean, possession now is just pure gold for Dallas. They just got to be careful with the ball.
Aragide caught on it here, gives it away to McSorley. Now bringing it forward, Ostrak. Ostrak centrally gets the shot away towards the back post. Lost his footing as he got the shot away, and Jackson didn't have to make a save.
I think Jackson might be cramping, and you mentioned it a while ago that not many times we would talk about goalkeepers and fitness, but gosh, he's been so busy back there. The whole back line's been busy, of course. Dallas has 10 saves right now, and I believe Clody only had 2 of those.
Got to be getting into career high territory for Jake Jackson, who only had 5 MLS games before tonight. He's back taking the goal kicks, launching it long towards Musa. Last game for Jake Jackson in Major League Soccer last year, July 17th for San Jose as a starter against Houston Dynamo. Switching ball towards this near side. Bernie Kamun goes down inside the 18 under contact from Klaus, who's looking for it at the near post. Freed up with Kamungo down on the ground, but it just evades Klaus, and Jackson makes the catch.
Well, there's contact off the ball between Klaus and Bernie Kamungo. Kamungo obviously getting the worst of it. Well, we see if Bernie Kamungo needs a little medical attention. I'll tell you that everybody counts stats differently. I mean, everybody counts crosses differently in the stat package. Right now, St. Louis MLS stat package has them at 23 crosses. High so far for opponents against FC Dallas on crosses was 18. There wasn't a lot that happened off the ball. We're just getting a quick look at it between Klaus and Bernie Kamungo, but looks like Bernie might have got a little elbow in the tummy.
Well, he's still down. The trainer and staff never came on the field. Dallas having some words right now with the referee, as both teams are getting some hydration from the bench.
Now remember, Eric Quill can go to the bench one more time. Made the double change a while ago, and of course that early change after goalkeeper Michael Colodi was ejected and Gaike was brought out.
Shaq Moore is really animated in this conversation with the referee right now. I wonder why. I guess just protesting the no call against Klaus, but Kamungo is now helped to his feet by the training staff, meaning if he isn't replaced by a substitute, Dallas is going to be down to 9 men for 2 minutes. I think Dallas is saying that it's a head injury, which would negate that rule, and the referee disagrees.
Well, Bernie Kamungo would have had to grab his head.
He is sort of grabbing at his neck right now, adjusting his head left to right. They have Josh Torquato, the left back, on the bench, who started in the 3-0 win against St. Louis earlier this season. So Dallas right now playing with 9 men. Bernie Kamungo off the field. Peter Musa looks like he's filling in at left wing back. Gives it away there, looking for Ramiro, then trying to make the interception. And Ramiro does well to win a foul from Vollum.
Valuable because they'll be able to delay a little bit on the restart, and that will reduce the amount of time they'll have to play with 9 men. While Bernie Kamungo waits the 2-minute period that he has to sit on the sideline.
And he's back on now, so maybe they did rule it a head injury and he had to clear the protocol. Either way, Dallas back to 10 men.
And Dallas just can't keep possession at all, though. It would help so much if they could just keep the ball for a minute.
Totland playing at left back, usually a right back. Checks this one back for Leuven, switching it over through Kessler to Vollum. Ball in behind for Ostrak. Set back for Vollum, first time cross, a lot of air underneath this one. It's headed out of play on the other side. Klaus just about keeps it in. Ball in along the ground and defended well by Urigide. He couldn't meet it in time. It's going to be a corner kick.
It'll be number 12 for St. Louis. As they're just filling up the box score in every place except the most important one.
Expectant fans right now at Energizer Park as Hartle takes this corner kick in towards the danger area, and that one off the crossbar. I think Falu Fall had the touch for St. Louis. I saw he was being marked by Sebastian Leggett. That doesn't seem like the mark that Dallas wants on the 6'4" Senegalese center back. Had a free header earlier in the game, another one here that he couldn't put away.
Should I keep updating these numbers, or is that getting tedious? Shots now 31-5.
Jackson goes long. Musa and the Jet trying to keep hold of it. Long ball launched by Berkey. Header won by Urigide. Shackmore trying to fight for the second ball. He's out of position now as it's turned over to St. Louis. McSorley off the left. McSorley looking for a lane. Pokes it over towards Vollum. Vollum chipped cross into the danger area. McSorley bicycle kick attempt denied by Jackson.
That might have been his second best save of the night after that right-hander at the ball trickling into the near post a while ago.
It's turning into a career night for Jake Jackson, regardless of where the result goes from here. Nice interception from Sebastian Leggett. Ramiro plays it back out towards him if he can keep it in. He does. But Bernie Kamungo gives it away. Now there's space for an early ball in. Ostrak towards Hartle. Back out to Ostrak. Ball spins to stay in play. Whipped in towards the danger area over the head of Jackson, who came out looking to punch. Now Leuven, 20 yards from goal. Shot through traffic is covered up by Jake Jackson.
Dallas just going to have to fight a little bit harder for the loose balls right now. They're doing a good job of defending the goal, even though Jackson was called on to make a nice save there. But as the balls, come out, those second balls that come out around the penalty area, Dallas just has to be a little bit more aggressive with them. I'm sure there's players out there getting tired.
Your only concern, if and when you use that final sub window, is if somebody goes down with an injury, then you're down to 9 men and there's nothing you can do. And that may be why we haven't seen any further changes for Eric Quill. Ostrak in midfield, swings it over to Leuven. Hartle out to Valum. Closed down now by Kamungo. Hartle first time cross towards the back post. Header won there by Uragide. Fighting for the second ball. Musa steps past one, but turns it over to Durkin. And Musa's down, and he's holding his left knee. Here's Ostrak, shot through traffic, blocked by Abubakar. Musa back to his feet. It's out towards the near side. Now Musa down again.
There's cramping back there, which you can understand. He's put in a lot of work moving back to defend.
Might be Logan Farrington's time here, as Berkey is the one helping Petter Musa. Berkey is in the attacking third right now as St. Louis prepares a corner kick.
Well, I mean, to help a big man, you got to have a big man, and that's Berkey.
I think Dallas are going to replace Petter Musa here for the final 5 plus stoppage.
So the question is, do you get another sub on? I assume it's going to be Logan Farrington.
It is a like for like with Logan Farrington.
But I was wondering if you might bring on one more fresh leg. Because Kappas, you got to say, he hasn't had a big influence on the second half. I'm sure he's gotten tired out there.
We've got 7 other names for you that haven't had a big impact on the second half.
Fair enough.
Just the center backs and the goalkeeper, which I guess is just 6 names left then. As Leuven goes for a first-time volley from the top of the box off the corner.
Going to count that as shot number 36.
It was definitely an effort to pull off something similar to what he did against Houston last week. As we look through the goals tonight, Pompeu in the first half equalized by Petter Musa.
30 years covering the league, Ryan. Fairly certain I haven't seen a game with 40 shots from one team, and we might get it tonight.
Musa on the bench still being helped out for that. Looks like a calf cramp on the right leg.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that being an injury. It looked pretty clearly just to be a cramp.
Farrington has been in good goal-scoring form as of late. On the score sheet against LAFC last time out. Doesn't have a ton of time to make an impact here, but it would be a big one if he can. Here's St. Louis bringing it forward. Chipped ball in, headed away at the near post by Abiaga. Now for a St. Louis throw.
You'd suspect there's going to be quite a bit of injury time. A couple of stoppages.
Ball towards the top of the box, chested by Ostrak. Last touch off him has sent this one out for a goal kick.
Now, if the score stays like this, post-game show we'd be talking about just absolutely heroic efforts from center backs and young goalkeeper Jake Jackson. But Dallas just desperate for points right now. It's only going to push them into, if it stays this way, it's only going to push them into 31 points, and they still need about 44 to keep from missing the playoffs for a second year running.
Arquide whistle for a foul against McSorley.
Yeah, which fair enough, but should have been a foul on Klaus a while ago for the off-ball contact on Bernie Kamungo in that case.
There you go. I brought you over to my side.
For the moment.
Here's the ball whipped in. Header at the back post for Fall. Another huge stop from Jake Jackson. A tireless effort from the goalkeeper tonight. Punches this one over and behind for a corner in the 88th.
He might have made that one look a little bit more difficult than it was.
I'm telling you, he makes it fun, though. I like it. I like
That's
the
one
style.
way to put it.
High-flying style. Leuven from the near side. Good shape on it, but it's met at the back post by Shaq Moore, sent away. Moore's out to close it down. It's a driven ball back towards Leuven. First time cross from Vollum towards the back post. And the header sent goalwards, but off target by Henry Kessler. That's a pretty good save,
Okay,
I would say.
I'll say that because he was moving to his right, and he had to change direction, turn his hips, come back over to his left with his right hand to push that one over the bar. So I won't accuse him of making that one look harder than it was.
Sent long towards Farrington. Header won by Vollum. Jet got a piece of the ball there. And he's whistled for a foul on the halfway line. And we're about to find out how much longer we'll play at Energizer Park tonight. Hartle now off the left. Low ball sent in, flicked at the near post over the bar by McSorley. They say it got a touch off a Dallas player as well, so it'll be a corner kick.
It's going to be shot number 39, just for novelty. I want them to get to 40.
They go quickly, and they're looking for number 40 here. Dallas quick and alert out to the short corner. Vollum switch it over to Ostrak. Down the line for Klaus. Klaus, low ball sent in towards Fall, and his shot is over the top. That's shot number 40. And it's not who they wanted it to fall to. The left-footed center back on his right foot.
I would say Alan Chapman doing Dallas a little bit of a favor because only 4 minutes of stoppage. Not
David Critchley is
David
not happy.
Critchley.
Not happy.
I mean, all that's going to happen is they're going to take, if they got 4 more minutes after that, they'd just get 4 more shots that would go high.
Well, it's been going. It was immediately, I don't know if I've ever seen such a visceral reaction to stoppage time. The entire St. Louis team sort of turned and ran towards the referee.
I mean, look, Chapman can look at him and say, hey, guys, 70 minutes of man up at home. If you can't score, I don't think another couple of minutes is going to help you. Dallas still has a little bit of time, though, about 3 minutes and change now to see this one out. Looks like they didn't give a shot on one of those, so stuck at 39. Sam over there writing down some records.
Leggett, some good work to bring it up the left side towards the corner flag into the attacking third, looking to win a corner. But his cross is just behind for a goal kick.
And then he went into the stands. Now he's coming up limping.
1 minute of 4 added on have been played.
Dallas now defending a man short to Leggett, now getting back into the action.
Moving out to Vollum. Ball whipped in towards the back post. Two St. Louis players getting each other's way there. Breaks for Leuven, top of the box. Ostrak sets it back for Vollum. Another cross bending in. Urguide wins the header. Hartle will track down the loose ball.
Urguide's been immense.
Hartle whipped ball in from the far side. Klaus header back post off target. And he had Jake Jackson dead to rights there if he had hit the frame.
I think that's karma for what he did earlier because I mean that's a good ball into the back post. He's got Bernie Kamungo. Actually, it wouldn't have counted because he came from an offside position. I even wonder if they raised the flag on that one. We can't tell.
.90 seconds to play. Jackson's going to send this goal kick long. I invite you to stick with us after the final whistle for the post-game show. Get your thoughts in the comments if you're watching on YouTube on the Burncast.
We'll talk about the 13 saves by FC Dallas goalkeepers.
Farrington looking for some green grass to run into. Crowded out. And now going the other way, St. Louis.
That might be a record too, Sam Hale. There he goes. Looking it up too.
McSorley over to Ostrak, looking for one last opportunity to test the Dallas debutant in goal. Ostrak sets it top of the box for Fall, wide for Hartle. Hartle lifts the ball in towards the back post. Another bicycle kick attempt from McSorley. Another one saved by Jackson. I like the chops on this McSorley, though. Fresh off his new contract this week, going for 2 bicycle kicks off the bench. Jackson getting the countdown from the referee and eventually sending it down the field, but out of play.
Not supposed to do the countdown in Major League Soccer, not yet.
Final seconds ticking down here. One last opportunity. They bring it up their left side with Hartle. Hartle bending ball in towards the back post, and Kamungo will watch this one over the line for a goal kick. That should just about do it.
Another, really good fitting in for Bernard Kamungo, who's done an outstanding job over there tonight, starting as left wing back and then as a left back. And that's it.
Well, 70-plus minutes down a man, and Dallas avoid defeat, make it 4 unbeaten. The points, though, will be of increasing concern as they're chasing that playoff line. Just the 1 point tonight. Maybe all things considered, it's not too bad, but a second half completely dominated by St. Louis. Huge credit to Jake Jackson making his FC Dallas debut. 11 saves, you said, for him off the bench?
14 saves total. I don't know how many of those were Clody. I think only 2.
11 or 12 saves for Jake Jackson. Way more work than he signed up for, I think, when he came over from San Diego. But he made sure Dallas are leaving St. Louis tonight with a point. Pedermusa's first half goal is what got them back in it after Pompeu's opening strike against Jake Jackson in the first half. Thank you for joining us for the game broadcast tonight. Stick around for the post-game show and get your comments in on the Burncast on YouTube for us to discuss. For now, though, it's been the FC Dallas against St. Louis City, all tied up at 1 at Energizer Park. We'll talk to you in just a moment. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer here, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 90-plus minutes of mainly defensive soccer for FC Dallas, they walk out of Energizer Park despite being down a man with a point as they walk away 1-1 all with St. Louis City SC. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I am your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in a few moments by the voices of tonight's contest, who are probably very tired, as I believe St. Louis just had another shot on target against FC Dallas. Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But let's go ahead and get you some post-game highlights. Not many on the evening for FCD. It started very rough in the 16th minute. Michael Colodi sent off for what was called a dog show red card, although not a penalty as it occurred outside the box. But that meant that Jake Jackson would make his FC Dallas debut. That also meant Kaike would go off as the sacrificial lamb. Dallas goes down to 10 men in the 16th minute. And then Celio Pompeo with an absolute rocket off a set piece that probably nobody was saving. That made it 1-0 St. Louis in the 32nd minute. But in the 35th minute, it was the Moose marching his way towards history.
Oh, here's a mistake at the back, and Petr Musa now from the short side finds the equalizing goal. If they're going to do this thing, it's going to be on Petr Musa's back tonight as he gets the goal to knot things up at 1.
Musa's 14th goal of the season, 5 away now from the all-time single-season record, made it 1-1 in the 35th minute, and that is where we stayed despite 70-plus minutes of FC Dallas playing down a man. Let's go ahead and bring you tonight's post-game stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank, and they're getting their money's worth tonight on these stats. I can tell you that much. 62-38, the possession battle the way of St. Louis. Per MLS's stat pack, 43 shots for St. Louis City SC, 15 of those on goal. 5 shots for Dallas, 2 of those on target. 15 corners for the home side, 7 for the visitors. 34-3 of the cross battle. 14 saves, according to this, for the combined effort of Michael Collodi and Jake Jackson, although Jake Jackson, I believe, is going to end up with 12 of those. We'll have to do some counting. You had 13 fouls for Dallas, 10 for St. Louis. 1 yellow card for Dallas, that went to Patrickson for dissent. And, of course, 1 red card that went to Michael Collodi. And as we bring in the voices of tonight's matchup, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. So I spent the last about 15 minutes of the broadcast looking into the record books for this because we are in MLS history. And if they've recorded it correctly, St. Louis has now officially tied the all-time MLS record for most shots.
They'll be gutted they didn't break it.
In a single game. They'll split it with San Jose, who won 3-1 against Vancouver in 2019 with 43 shots. You're also going to find the most shots faced by a goalkeeper that night. That's 19 for Maxime Crépeau. Crépeau also had 16 saves that night in that loss. You're also going to have, I'm curious how the shot half breakdown, they might end up getting that record. That's 27 by Chicago in 2022, although they ended up losing that game 3-1 to Toronto, so not a very fun one there. And if you're wondering where does this rank in FC Dallas history, the closest I could find on that, because the records I can get to only go back to about 2015, 28 shots against. That was against San Jose. It was a 1-1 draw in 2021. This shatters that record. I have to assume 2014.
Well, you just told us about an 8-goal against game for the Dallas Burn against the LA Galaxy,
yeah.
So we have to go back and look.
Yeah, we're going to have to go into the deep archives for that, but I have to assume.
No. I was at that one. That was something that just crazy at the end. Dallas just sort of gave up, and LA just kept scoring late at the end. It wasn't like they were peppering the Dallas goal that night.
So I feel very comfortable in saying tonight we have watched the most shots against an FC Dallas/Dallas Burnside in the club's history.
Well, you just said
at least in a long time.
They tied an MLS record,
yeah,
right?
so it has to be.
So it has to be.
So I guess there's a decent amount to take away from it. I guess, do you feel more happy that they didn't give up a second goal?
Well, I keep saying, Sam, we would have a very interesting. This is an interesting game to talk about.
I was going to say
it would be
in a weird, sick way.
In a weird way, yeah.
This one's for the sickos.
I said interesting,
yeah.
right? It wasn't a pretty match at all. We would be talking about this match in a much different way, talking about Urguide, being immense back there, talking about young goalkeeper coming in, Jake Jackson, and having a big match, talking about probably the injustice to Michael Collodi and how Dallas persevered through it. Other good performances defensively. But the framing's just different because Dallas so desperately needs points. They came into this one needing about 2 points a game over the last 7. Now that average slides up. They actually need a little bit more than that, somewhere between 2+ points a game. So this was a match where they just absolutely needed all 3 points, and getting your goalkeeper thrown out 20 minutes into the game just isn't a good way to do it. Too bad, because you got a lot of good performances. Jake Jackson, he can be very proud of the night he had. Just turning away shot after shot, and literally MLS records, being set and broken, or at least tied. But the framing is different because Dallas needs those points so badly.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, after the game on the podcast feed, we did talk about at halftime how we felt about the red card, and I think kind of unanimously we agree that João Klaus went for a dive. He didn't do the honorable thing and shoot at an open net, which you think as a forward, a decent forward at that in this league you would do. Instead, he goes for the dive, goes for the red card against Collodi, and it's unfortunate that there's contact because there's obviously not enough to bring down João Klaus. And if the VAR takes a look and says there's any contact at all, they're probably not going to send the referee to the monitor. That's how the system works. Whether it's correct or not, it certainly didn't feel just tonight for FC Dallas. Michael Collodi, unfortunately, now going to be suspended unless this, gets overturned midweek, which, St. Louis themselves had a call in which Pro apologized to them that cost them the game up in Vancouver. So it has happened where they have admitted, fault, and maybe that happens for Collodi to come back in against Austin. But I think the biggest winner of tonight from an FC Dallas standpoint is Jacob Jackson. You feel a lot more comfortable with what you've seen from him now compared to what you've seen from him before, which was absolutely nothing. Seeing what he can bring to the team tonight, just statistically, depending on what stat package you look at, St. Louis generated over 4 XG against him. The XG on target was 3.42, and so he concedes the 1 goal to Pompeu on a shot worth very little XG. And he turned aside high XG shot after high XG shot, and in total, according to FOTMOB, kept out 2.42 goals. I mean, that is a night, in general, a good MLS keeper might keep out 2.42 goals over the course of an entire season. And so, for him to do that in 71 minutes tonight, at the very least, this is a career night for him and one to be proud of. And on his debut, thrown into a difficult situation 20 minutes into this game, huge congratulations to him and huge credit to him on the performance he was able to put up and make sure that Dallas left with something tonight to, not do enough. You wanted the win tonight and you almost needed the win tonight, but you didn't completely fall out of the playoff race by getting the draw and staying alive here because of, in large in part, the center backs and Jake Jackson.
Yeah, and I'll say that he didn't just sit back there and block shots. I mean, he got out of his line. In fact, his first action wasn't even a shot stop. It was coming out in traffic and punching with one hand, sort of athletically, and a couple of other times, he's coming out in traffic and catching or punching. So big
56 touches for a goalkeeper in 71 minutes. 56.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of looked like Michael Collodi out there in style, at least, because, he didn't maybe have the footwork, but I'm not sure he also had the opportunity. But he had he was very aggressive when he came out. He had, good instincts and like that. And, man, we talked about how found money Michael Collodi is. Jake Jackson, he etched himself into FC Dallas history on just one night.
Well, look, we all know that Drew Kishana is a highly respected goalkeeper in Major League Soccer. He's been around here for so long, doing so much good work.
17 years.
With all the FC Dallas goalkeepers, and hats off to him too for having that young man prepared in case he has to come in, and he did have to come in. And by the way, a while ago, if you're just catching us on the post-game show, I still think it's a fun discussion. Now we know we didn't have to have it, but it would have been a fun discussion. Maybe we can ask Eric Quill. Over on the bench, did you look at each other? Did you look down at the bench and say, hey, guys, has anybody played goalkeeper at any point in their life? Because if, there was a point where Jake Jackson got, was down and needed some medical attention, and if he has to go out of the match, somebody has to be Ryan Hollingshead and come in and play emergency goalkeeper, which Ryan Hollingshead once had to do.
Yeah, I would say, Logan or Alvaro, probably your two candidates, once, especially because Ebiaga was in the game at that point at center back. So, your two taller guys. Alvaro, we gave him American football this week at training, and he dropped a 40-yard spiral in a bucket. So, I mean, he's just kind of a freak athlete. I wouldn't be surprised if it was him, but we'll try and get that intel for you this week at training.
You know who would have been over there bothering Eric Quill to do it, though?
It's the same guy that I'm thinking of. Sam Sarver, yeah.
Absolutely.
We all have the same thought
Coach,
there.
Put me in.
And you know what?
Sit down, Sam.
Put it against, bet against him. I dare you. Look at that, how that kid succeeded. But, obviously, I think Jake Jackson's probably the man of the match just because of circumstance and how hard he worked. And, there's obviously a lot to take away here. But I don't want to ignore Petter Musa, who obviously came off late. He had some cramps. This was not an ideal situation for him playing down a man. But he does get goal number 14. And I'm not sure if we're going to be tracking into FC Dallas playoff situation. But with 6 matches left, he only needs 5 goals to break the record. I think we need to start the Petter Musa single-season tracker here, if we hadn't already, because that dude, in addition to just being, I think at this point, maybe the best DP Dallas has ever signed at this rate, outside the organization, maybe altogether, I think that's a debate to have. He is on his way to maybe having the best goal-scoring season of all time in FC Dallas colors.
It's crazy to me, right? Because tonight he ties the best ever 2-season span with 30 goals across 2 seasons, still with 6 games to go. And, man, if you just look at the 2 seasons that he's been here, it's been chop and change and different lineup and different formation and 3 different coaches, and still his quality always rises to the top. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Petar Musa, and I'm sure any Dallas fan listening right now, we're speaking to the choir, but man, it is something to really appreciate what a good striker we have, because it is so difficult to replace. It's so difficult to find. It's so difficult to get the right fit, the right mentality, the type of player that wants to be here, wants to fight for the team every week, and put up this level of numbers. I mean, he is a best 11 level talent for me in Major League Soccer that has been, over 2 seasons on a 11th place team. That's the reality, right? And he's kept them there and still in contention for a playoff spot because of his goals. Now up to 20 goal contributions on the season. And that is only going to go up from here. I mean, as long as he can stay healthy and Dallas can continue to scrap and claw towards the playoff line, it'll be because of him if they can get there.
We should probably talk a little bit about the goal. I mean, it's such an important goal. Interesting that we just said on the broadcast, St. Louis is going to give you a chance. Now, I also said they were going to give Dallas a chance in the second half. Dallas just couldn't keep enough of the ball to have a really good chance in the second half. A couple of corner kicks. But we just said St. Louis defense is just something's going to happen. There's going to be a moment of bad focus, of indecision, just sloppiness on the ball. That's exactly what happened. It was Patrickson Delgado who got into the tackle, nicked the ball away. By the way, Delgado probably should have gotten an assist on that as well. Should have got a second assist, but he didn't. But that ball, as he tackled the ball, it went right to Kappas. Kappas immediately got aggressive, played the ball into Petar Musa. Musa was not in a great shooting place. But you know what? When you're a good striker, that doesn't matter. He took a touch, still at a bad angle. Roman Berkey covering the near post pretty well, but he just got a little too low, and Musa just roofed it right past him. I said at halftime, looked like Landon Donovan in South Africa roofing that ball in the group play there at the World Cup. But Petar Musa, 14th goal, and you're right, Sam, it's going to be interesting. The countdown is on now. They've got 6 matches now to get 4 goals for him to at least tie the single-season FC Dallas goal-scoring record of 18.
I think, now is the time, because we didn't really get time at halftime to talk about the substitution that Eric Quill made in the wake of the red card. Obviously, you have to sacrifice somebody to get a goalkeeper back out there, and in this case, it was Kaique. And for the rest of the first half, I think it worked pretty well, right? Dallas obviously go on to score. They also created some chances. They had moments even to press high and sort of try and force those mistakes. But in the second half, man, it was just backs to the wall, bend but don't break, no possession at all. I mean, I haven't seen a second half possession figure, but it would be under 20% easily.
It might be single digits.
Yeah, for FC Dallas. And so I just wonder, was that the right decision to bring Kaique out of the game? Because he's not a possession guy, but he's an energy guy. And as the energy dropped, Dallas's line dropped. They're defending deep, and credit to them for, not conceding down the stretch when you're defending so much. But you just didn't have legs to get out on the counter. I think they left Julio out there to try and have those moments on the counterattack, and he had another just altogether ineffective game. So I guess Steve and Sam, what do you guys think of that decision to bring Kaique out? Because the early returns were good, but then the long-term returns, you sort of saw the team really start to tire and lack any ability to keep the ball.
Yeah, I think it might have been you or maybe it was Sam that mentioned at halftime that when Dallas played a man down for so long at home last month a couple of months ago against Philadelphia, it was Kaique who was maybe the man of the match.
That was right.
Who's just so good in there, providing that energy and all the defensive steel. And so yeah, it was a little surprising, especially since I picked out early. It just wasn't Anderson Julio's night. He just didn't find a way into the match. And I get it. You need points so badly, and you've got to get a goal. So you leave the attacking guy out there. But Anderson Julio just really wasn't giving them anything because he's not really a good defender. And so he's playing that right side of midfield role. He's got a lot of defending to do because Dallas just can't establish possession. So in the end, I would have liked to have seen it be Anderson Julio, but then again, if Anderson Julio had one good offensive moment and made the goal that give him the 3 points, push him over that 3-point line, we would have said it's an absolutely brilliant ploy to keep him in there. So, it's a tough choice when you have to bring somebody off and you got to decide quickly. You're going through a lot of calculations in your mind, so it's a tough call. But I agree. I would have liked to have seen Kaique stay out there.
I want to build on that Julio point in just a minute because I think it ties into something else I want to bring up. But centering on the discussion of bringing off Kaique, I didn't mind it when it happened because I think, no matter what you choose, there's going to be downsides. Like you're just forced into making a bad decision if you're, outside of maybe taking off either Musa or Asazi, which would never happen. There's not really a great call there. But with KK coming off, you slide Ramiro back into the midfield next to Kappas. And I think if you're Quill, you're thinking in that moment, I need to create some stabilization at that point because my game plan has been torn asunder. Like we're having to bring in our third keeper. We're going down a man on the road when we need points. Like, man, everything has gone out the window. So I don't blame him in theory for saying, instead of the 19-year-old who has a higher ceiling and has a lot of good qualities, I want to bring in the guy that I think in Kappas can help me get possession and that stabilizing force in Ramiro, who we've seen perform well. Like, I get the logic of it, and I didn't mind that. But I think to Steve's point about Anderson Julio, and this is where I want to extend that conversation, it feels like he needed to come out earlier if you really wanted to chase his game. Because, and the question I want to throw back, did Eric Quill, in your mind, substitution-wise, however you want to phrase it, do enough to chase a game that, let's be honest, they really, really, really needed to win tonight?
Yeah, and before I get to my thoughts on it, we saw a couple of different chats in the YouTube comments if you were watching on the Burncast. Jason was pretty vocal in the chat, as well as Mike, just not happy with the substitutions. I think that's going to be a pretty popular sentiment amongst the fan base because, let's face it, they love a bit of Sam Sarver, and Sam could bring the exact type of energy that you need in this game. He's not a possession player. If anything, he's the antithesis of a possession player. He's a chaos player, as Steve called him at halftime. But you needed to create a little bit of chaos, and at the halftime break, I wouldn't have minded seeing an extra change because you make the first half change, you lose a sub window having to do that. Then in the second half, you only have 2 remaining to work with. And there was never an opportunity to bring someone like a Sam Sarver into the game. So if you make that change at halftime, whether it's bringing in Farrington and then you have Sarver later or the other way around, you get one extra pair of fresh legs on there. And we know that Sam is going to bring the energy, and you could even look at other options on the bench. We haven't seen Pedrinho in a long time. Ibiaga obviously came in. There wasn't a ton on the bench, especially with the international absentees and Garcia and Norris and Dietzen as well not there. So I think Sarver was the one that could have changed this game, and I agree that I would have liked to see him as early as halftime because he's disciplined defensively. He's not going to let you down in that way. He's green. He's not experienced at this level, but you just weren't getting anything from Anderson Julio, as Steve pointed out. And I think if there's anyone that can rival Julio's speed and behind on this roster, it's Sam Sarver. So he can still offer that sort of vertical threat, that one-man counterattack and ability to work off of Petter Musa while giving you the defensive work. I think I'm with some of the fans that were in our YouTube comments tonight and saying that I think you want to find a way to work one more pair of fresh legs onto the field. And for me, that was probably Sam Sarver, and it should have been at halftime just to avoid using that sub window.
Yeah, look, and again, it's a tough call. You're trying to balance a lot. If it was just a regular game on the road, I think the calculations are different, but it's not a regular game on the road. It's a game that Eric Quill was desperate to win to get all 3 points. Usually you'd say on the road you go a little bit more conservative there. You try to manage out the draw 1-1. But, again, this wasn't that game. So now I'm going to bounce around a little bit about something you said at halftime, Sam, because you said you wondered at halftime, well, maybe they would bring on an experienced player like Sebastian Lletget. And I said, I just don't want to bring on Lletget because I want a chaos guy. You said nice and calm possession, and I said, I don't want calm. This is going to be a chaos game. Well, you were proven right in that on came Lletget, right, at one point. And I thought, okay, well, Sam made the call. Good call. Now I'm going to bounce back to say Lletget had no impact on the game.
No, I think we were both correct in
right.
this one. We both get to claim a win here.
You predicted what Eric Quill would do, but again, I would have liked to have seen Sam Sarver come in, or maybe Logan Farrington come in a little bit earlier. Farrington ended up coming in later for Petter Musa, as Musa was cramping. But, Lletget came into the game, and the thing is, he can give you possession if you can make the first pass into him. But Dallas had 0. They just never got the ball at all. Was never able to possess for more than 5 seconds in the second half, and that's really that's not even hyperbole there. It's no exaggeration. There was a couple of times when I thought Lawless Abubakar could have made a pass, or Ibiaga at one point could have made a possession pass, but they chose to go long, and then it's just okay. Well, we lost the ball again, and now you got to go defend again. So Ramiro a couple of times was able to maybe connect one pass, and then they would lose the ball. So Leggett just couldn't have the impact because Dallas never had any possession.
Yeah, and the avenue to possession that they were looking towards is, since Lucho Acosta left the team, it's more and more it's direct. It's long ball, aerial ball into Musa, into Farrington. Credit goes, I think, to the center backs for St. Louis tonight, who were very dominant in the air. I mean, Falou Fall, 6 of 9, aerial duels 1. Kessler had 5 aerial duels as well. Any long ball from the goalkeeper, from the center backs. Musa had a really difficult night in the air. He sort of couldn't find a way to control it most of the time. It's a thankless task, right? And you don't have players to pick up the second ball around them because of the red card as well. But, getting Farrington on at least would have given a second target to aim at, because a lot of times they were aiming for a Patrickson or a Sebastian Leggett. And, if Petter Musa is struggling against the center backs for St. Louis, those guys aren't going to have any joy either in the air. So going direct and that being the avenue towards possession really let them down tonight, because I think of good aerial performances from the center backs for St. Louis, but also lacking that second target in Logan Farrington, who could have come in earlier to potentially have that impact and give Dallas another avenue to keeping the ball.
Yeah, and not to really toot my own horn here, but I have a note written down in the 63rd minute. Ibby plus Leggett on question mark. What happens 5 minutes later? Sebastian Leggett comes on for Patrickson, and then you bring off Julio for Sebastian Biaga. So I'm not trying to say I'm an oracle here, but, the notes say I'm an oracle. I'm not saying it, but the notes say it. And I think that's, a little bit of the concern, because we talked about this in the pregame as well as one of our kind of running themes. The margins aren't completely thin yet, but they were coming, they were cardboard thin when we came in. Well, now you get a point out of this. Normally that'd be just fine. But now you've got 6 games left. If you assume you needed 14 points coming into this one, you've now got 6 games to get 13 points. That's roughly 2 and let's call it a quarter down the stretch, which would mean you've got to win at least 4, if not 5 of your last 6. Like, whatever margin you had, by a circumstance, you have thrown in the shredder tonight, which means you essentially have to be perfect down the stretch. I'm not saying it's impossible, but man, my confidence in that is low.
Yeah, so right now Dallas sits 12th. They've got 31 points. Salt Lake City 11th, 31 points. Houston got a draw tonight against
shout out to the Galaxy. I think it might have kept the
it
Dallas
was 1-0
playoff hopes alive in
half.
some regards with a 99th minute equalizer.
Woo. Yeah, well, the problem there is Houston. By getting that point, they're only 10th though. They're not even in the playoffs. So San Jose and Colorado sitting at 35 and 36 points. So Dallas is now 4 points behind San Jose for that last playoff spot. They still have a game in hand against San Jose. But as we talked about early in the pregame broadcast, what we said was Dallas had 2 games in hand on the 2 teams that occupied the last 2 playoff spots, right? Mm-hmm. 2 games in hand on those 2 teams. But we said games in hand only count if you collect all the points. And tonight, Dallas needed 3. They got 1.
Yeah, and obviously, I think we've heard Quill talk a lot about what he wants from the team. The warriorhood mentality, the strength, and that fight tonight. And I'm not denying that they, on defense specifically, they gave it to you. But down the stretch, we're really going to see this tested more than we ever have before, because you're fighting for your playoff lives. And I'm curious, Ryan, I'll start with you. How's your feeling about what you think this team can produce with kind of a soft schedule, but their backs are now firmly against the wall?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, since Lucho was first dropped and then eventually sold, Dallas is undefeated in every game that he didn't play. He played once, and that was coming off the bench against New York City, and they lost. So in that regard, you feel like things have had an uptick in form since moving on from the DP. Obviously, it wasn't working out. But now 3 straight draws, you start to feel like sort of the end of the Nico Estevez seasons where they would just draw themselves to death a little bit and slip in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, draws aren't going to do it. As we've talked about, ad nauseum now, it's going to take 3 points on almost every given night the rest of the way. So my confidence level is obviously decreasing as the task and the mountain gets taller and taller to climb. I have confidence in Petter Musa, and if the team can continue to create chances for him, he's going to give them a chance every single time out. I'm seeing some positive signs from a Christian Kappas. I think is really growing since arriving in these last 2 games. His first halves in particular are really solid. Now, can he start to put together 90 minutes? I'm not really going to criticize his second half tonight because he's just against the ball the entire time, and his best work comes on the ball in possession. So I liked what I'm seeing from him. I think Dallas is getting good work from Bernard Kamungo at left wing back. If they continue in this shape, I would like to see Shaq Moore back on the right side and his more natural position. And you've got three natural experienced center backs, and you have Alvaro, and you have a Nolan Norris once he comes back from international duty. So you have enough depth to get you through the rest of the season probably at center back. If you just shift Shaq Moore back out to his natural right wing back position, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists this season. I mean, he's had good offensive production. So get him back out there, and I think there's games to be won, as we've talked about. 2 games against the Galaxy. You're hosting Colorado and Austin, who are 7th and 8th place right now. Those are teams that you're chasing, so you can make up those sort of 6-pointers on your home turf. And it's not out of reach right now, but as we've talked about, it's getting increasingly more difficult. So for me, the number one thing I'd like to see is just shifting some guys back into positions when they're more comfortable, whether that's Shaq Moore, and then just working on chance creation, right? The defense has really stepped up since Lucho Acosta left the club. Dallas has been excellent defensively. Osaze has been so terrific week in, week out. Abubakar has been up and down, had the big mistake tonight, but then showed what his qualities with all of the clearances and clearing headers and blocks down the stretch. Even all the way down to your third-string goalkeeper, you feel good about what you have in net. So there's things to feel good about, but ultimately if they need to develop with the ball, they need to develop the ability to create chances because they've got one of the best number 9s in all of MLS waiting to try and put those chances away. And right now he's eating well, but he's feeding on scraps. And if they can continue to improve the offensive end, I feel like he's a 2-goal-a-game type of player if the chances are there, and they rarely have been. So that was a lot of word salad to throw at you to say that I'm confident. I see some positive signs, and hopefully they can continue to build on those going down into these final 6 games.
Steve, do you have any words, or did Ryan take all your? No, Ryan took all your words. Okay, very
just
good.
A quick monologue to close this out.
Obviously we'll cover this game a little bit more on the FC Dallas agenda this week. I think Jake Jackson might need a call at this point because
that's usually how we do it, right? The standout performer gets the call up.
I don't see how at the very least, I want to ask him, what's facing 43 shots like? That feels like we're going to need to talk to him. So keep an eye out for this Wednesday, the FC Dallas agenda. We'll cover this game. Obviously, hope we will have a guest that might or may not have set an MLS record tonight. And, of course, we'll cover the next game, which is another game in the Copa Tejas, although that is already decided. But it's still a big 6-pointer for FC Dallas as Nico Estevez brings his Austin side into Frisco for the first time since he departed the club last year. It's superhero night here at Toyota Stadium. So FCDallasTickets.com if you want to come in. I believe we have a drone show after as well. So hopefully 3 points in a drone show would just be super cool as well. And if you can't make it, of course, we will have coverage on the FC Dallas Radio Network. That starts at 7. And then on the game broadcast, I think we can go ahead and announce that special guest this week, Paxton Pomacall, will join Ryan and Steve on the call. Garrett will also be filling in for me on pre-half and post, so you'll have the FC Dallas Agenda crew all throughout the broadcast, and Paxton Pomacall joining for at least the first half of action on this big Texas Derby matchup. Again, 7:30 first kick from Toyota Stadium. Pregame starts at 7 o'clock on the Burncast on YouTube and on the FC Dallas app. But that's going to do it for tonight's postgame show. FC Dallas draws 1-1 with St. Louis City. For engineer Barry Walters, for Ryan